Hello everyone and welcome back for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets and drama. So today's video is going to be part 1 of queens who have been blocked by other queens on social media, including Katya, Trinity the Tuck and Gia Gunn, among others. All that and more coming up in today's video, so let's get started. And just before we get started, I just want to say that I'd really love to get to 100k subscribers by the end of the year, so if you haven't subscribed yet, please make sure you do, as it really makes a massive difference to my channel. Thank you! Mrs. Kasha Davis and Gia Gunn. Mrs. Kasha Davis competed on season 7 of Drag Race US. And Gia Gunn competed on season 6 as well as All Stars 4. Back in 2021, Gia and Mrs. Kasha Davis had a bit of a beef on Twitter, and it ended with Gia blocking Mrs. Kasha Davis. What happened was that Gia had previously made several untrue statements about COVID-19 during the time when the pandemic was just starting. Back in 2020, Gia had said on an Instagram live that COVID was a, quote, hoax and that a lot of people were brainwashed, and she also said that wearing a mask was ridiculous.
I think the whole mask thing is fucking ridiculous. I honestly think this whole COVID-19 thing is a hoax, but I also think a lot of people are brainwashed.
Gia's comments were criticised by many people, including Drag Race queens such as season 9 contestant Alexis Michelle. Gia later posted a video where she admitted that she was wrong and said that you should wear a mask. A few weeks later, Gia tweeted saying that she had tested positive for COVID and said, quote, "Put on your effing masks." Lots of people commented on the post, pointing out the irony of the situation, including fellow season 6 contestant Bianca Del Rio, who said, "girl," with laughing emojis. And Gia responded by saying, quote, "I'm glad you find it funny, my love, ... God bless and stay healthy." And one of the other queens who commented on Gia's tweet was Mrs. Kasha Davis, who said, quote, "Is this tweet a hoax? Is COVID a hoax like you've previously said? Or is it just now important because it's affecting you? I truly hope you feel better both with COVID symptoms and your ego adjustment." And then Mrs. Kasha Davis tweeted a screenshot showing that Gia had blocked her on Twitter, and the comment said, "Was it something I said? Hashtag get well soon." Trinity the Tuck and Farrah Moan. Trinity the Tuck competed on season 9 as well as All Stars 4 and All Stars 7. Farrah Moan also competed on season 9 as well as All Stars 4. Back in January of 2021, Farrah said that she was blocked by Trinity on Twitter because Farrah had criticised Trinity for still performing during lockdown. The full story is that Trinity had been receiving backlash from fans because she had continued to do nightclub shows during the COVID pandemic. Trinity went on Twitter to defend herself and said, quote, "Unless you are going to pay my bills, then I suggest shut the F up about me doing what I need to do to survive. I understand the situation of the world and unfortunately our government can't get their bleep together to make it better faster." Trinity also compared her job to people who work in retail like at a grocery store. However, Farrah then commented on Trinity's post and said, quote, "Being a nightclub entertainer is not an essential job. None of us can pay our bills right now. It is so unimaginably selfish to put people's health at risk for a gig when literally trying to do their part and hospitals are starting to overfill, but whatever, lol." Trinity then posted implying that she needed to work in order to make sure her house didn't go into foreclosure and to pay her bills. Farrah then responded and basically said that Trinity didn't need the money that desperately, and said that Trinity was no different to the circuit gays who were still going to crowded parties during the pandemic. Trinity then apparently blocked Farrah on Twitter and changed her name to Trinity the Block, and made several comments on her Instagram stories saying, quote, "When you are fed up with people, you eventually have no more Fs to give. I have no patience in 2021. If you don't like me, girl, bye. I ain't interested in your opinions or comments." And although she didn't name Farrah specifically in the Instagram story, it's assumed that she was referring to Farrah. Farrah then tweeted saying, quote, "Oh my god, Trinity blocked me," and then followed this up by saying that she was really surprised by this because she was trying to be respectful in what she had said to Trinity. And Farrah ended by saying that she is also an entertainer who makes her money from live gigs and hopes things will get better, but said, quote, "We have to do better and protect each other." And as of 2022, Farrah and Trinity still do not follow each other on Instagram. Katya and Santino Rice. Katya competed on season 7 as well as All Stars 2. Santino Rice was a judge on Drag Race from seasons 1 to 6 and also appeared as a guest judge in episode 11 of season 7. Katya once tweeted back in 2015 saying that Santino had blocked her but did not say why. I did some digging to try and find out the reason why Santino blocked Katya, and it looks like it was a pretty weird situation. Although I couldn't find any definitive proof of this, it looks like back in 2015, this crazy rumour started saying that Santino was a cannibal and liked to eat human flesh. It appears that the rumour started as a joke after Santino made a comment on his blog saying, quote, "Someone snapped this picture of me, I ripped the camera from his hands and then ate him." People online then started joking saying that Santino was a cannibal. And apparently people even hacked his Wikipedia bio and changed it to say that he was a cannibal. Santino then apparently started blocking anyone on Twitter who used his name and the word cannibal in the same tweet. And it's assumed that Katya was one of the people who had been joking about it on Twitter and so therefore got blocked. I tried to find the original tweets, but it seems like a lot of them got deleted. And this might be because Santino was banned from Twitter back in 2021 after he made several anti-vaxxer comments and also spread dangerous information such as suggesting that injecting disinfectant into yourself was just as dangerous as the COVID vaccine. Santino later apologised and said that his Twitter had been hacked. However, several tweets from years earlier in 2016 were found, which showed that Santino had previously said that he didn't trust vaccines and called them toxic. So a lot of people didn't believe that Santino's Twitter was really hacked and thought that he was just making up an excuse. But Santino continued to post anti-vaccine tweets, and his account was then eventually suspended for misinformation, and his account has not come back since. Santino had also previously made several dangerous comments about fasting for 111 days and only consuming organic cold-pressed juice and water. He also encouraged other people to do the same in order to, quote, heal themselves. And these comments were also met with a lot of criticism. Room and Fred Van Leer. Room competed on season 1 of Drag Race Holland. And Fred Van Leer is the host of Drag Race Holland, having hosted for seasons 1 and season 2. And it appears as though Room and Fred have had some sort of falling out. Room once tweeted in November of 2021 saying, quote, "Imagine getting blocked by your Drag Race host." And when asked what had happened, Room said she had no clue. So there was no definitive reason given as to why Fred blocked Room. However, I did a bit of research and found a few potential reasons, although they are not confirmed and are just guesses. One reason might be because Room has previously spilled some backstage tea about the show. On her Instagram, Room said that for the episode 1 runway, which the category was Who's Your Queen, apparently the producers wouldn't let Room wear her original look, which was Medusa inspired, because they thought Medusa wasn't really a queen. And Room implied as though that's why her runway look in that episode was not very good, and she had to wear a different outfit, and that's why she was eliminated that episode. And Room has also been accused of being negative about the show in general. For example, Room once said that it was difficult to keep up with all the different international franchises of Drag Race, and also tweeted saying, quote, "Can we just cancel all Drag Race spin-offs and get one annual show with international queens from around the globe?" And Room is also the creator of the series called RuPaul's, which is an animated parody show of Drag Race on YouTube, which started in around 2015, but the videos were later removed. In a video on YouTube, Room explained that she was a big fan of Drag Race, but said that the show had been, quote, ruined by VH1, and that it was all about marketing rather than drag. And she also said that the audience of Drag Race has become more toxic over the years. Room then explained that she was forced to take down the RuPaul's videos because YouTube threatened to demonetize her account if she didn't. And later in 2020, Room responded to the allegations of being negative about the show, and she posted a lengthy statement on Twitter saying that although she is grateful for being on Drag Race, she will continue to call things out on the show that she doesn't think are right, such as the editing and judging. So it may be because of one of those things that the host, Fred Van Leer, decided to block Room on social media, but this is just a theory. Hello everyone, and welcome back for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets and drama. So you all seem to like my part 1 of queens who have been blocked on social media, so here's part 2. This video includes queens such as Aja, Tina Burner and Manila Luzon, among others. All that and more coming up in today's video, so let's get started. Aja competed on season 9 of Drag Race US as well as All Stars 3. Back in 2018, Aja ended up being temporarily banned from Twitter after a heated exchange between Aja and some radical feminists where they were arguing about trans identities. Just to give some context, in 2018, Aja had identified as non-binary and used they-them pronouns. And then later in 2021, Aja came out as trans and said that she uses she/they pronouns, and also explained that she had suffered with gender dysphoria since 2018. So with that in mind, back in 2018, Aja had got into a spat on Twitter with a group of TERFs, which stands for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminists. These people had criticised Aja and said that being non-binary was not a real thing. The original tweet can no longer be seen, but by the looks of it they misgendered Aja and called her a misogynistic troll. In response to these comments, Aja tweeted saying, "Shut the F up, you effing TERF, calling me a misogynistic troll. You are a bitter-ass fake feminist. Real feminists support all women and all genders equality. Don't misgender me, you senseless cow." And fellow season 9 competitor Peppermint replied to Aja saying, "These people live in the past with their ideals. There is a new school emerging that believes in true equality and access. They don't even realise that upholding the binary relegates them to the same poor treatment women have been getting for centuries." And later on Twitter that same day, Aja defended her non-binary status saying, "I am non-binary, I am not male, that is not my truth. I do not insult women, I insult ignorance and hate." But according to Aja, she was apparently banned from Twitter because of her tweets and her account was suspended. Aja posted on Facebook saying that she had been banned on Twitter because she called the TERF a, quote, senseless cow, and then added that the 200 to 300 people who were devaluating Aja's non-binary identity were not banned. Aja's Twitter was then reinstated sometime later, and she received further support from her fans and other drag queens, and her Twitter remains active to this day. Tina Burner and Tamisha Iman. Tina Burner competed on season 13 of Drag Race US, and Tamisha Iman also competed on season 13 of Drag Race US. During season 13, there was a lot of drama between Tamisha and several other contestants, including Tina Burner and Candy Muse, which all came to a head in a heated argument during Untucked in episode 5. After the season finished, there were several reports saying that Tamisha had blocked several of her season 13 sisters on social media, as well as many other people online. I won't go into the full story as it's a bit long and complicated, but Tamisha said that she was starting a new service called the Tamisha Iman Network, and she said she would be spilling the tea on lots of things to do with Drag Race and her fellow competitors. And in that time period, it looks like Tamisha blocked many of her season 13 sisters. For example, in this Twitter thread about the season 14 cast convincing Bosco to get an iPhone, season 13 competitor Denali commented saying, "Bosco was our Tamisha, now you just gotta block half your cast." And fellow season 13 competitor Lala Ree also once tweeted saying, "I don't have a drag mom, and yes, I'm blocked too." The backstory to this is that Lala Ree said during season 13 that Tamisha is technically her drag mother. However, it has been implied that the two of them don't really speak, and it looks like Lala Ree doesn't consider Tamisha to be her drag mother anymore. Another season 13 queen who was apparently blocked by Tamisha is Tina Burner. During season 13, in the infamous argument between Tamisha and Candy in Untucked in episode 5, Tina supported Candy and at one point stepped in to defend Candy to Tamisha. I asked Tina about this when I interviewed her on my channel, and Tina said that she doesn't have a relationship with Tamisha anymore and added that Tamisha blocked her on social media. And what is your relationship like with Tamisha?
I don't have one.
Okay.
At all. Zero. I'm blocked on Instagram.
So it's clear that Tamisha has blocked several of her fellow season 13 castmates, including Tina Burner, and the situation has not changed as they are still not following each other on Instagram. And in fact, the only season 13 contestants that Tamisha is following on Instagram are Elliot with 2 T's and Kimora Hall, Jeremy Carey and Gia Gunn. Jeremy Carey, who was formerly known as Fifi O'Hara, competed on season 4 and All Stars 2. And Gia Gunn competed on season 6 as well as All Stars 4. Back in October of 2020, it looks like Gia blocked Jeremy on Twitter after Jeremy commented on one of Gia's posts. There's not a huge amount to say about this one, but I thought it was interesting, so I included it in this list. What happened was that Gia had tweeted saying, 2 things not to be discussed with loved ones, politics and religion. Jeremy then commented on this tweet saying, "It's weird to me you would tell people to not have difficult conversations with their loved ones. I know you personally and your journey, so I know difficult conversations are something you've had to do. Please don't encourage others to stay silent or complicit on real issues." And it appears that Gia didn't take kindly to this, and Jeremy later shared a screenshot showing that Gia had blocked him. And his accompanying tweet said, "Bye Gia Gunn, I guess you weren't ready for this conversation. Let's just say it, you are completely unaware of how words matter. You're upset because people hold your ass to the fire when your ignorance shines like a gold star." And then in the comments to Jeremy's tweet, a user pointed out that Gia had deleted her original tweet, and Jeremy responded by saying, "Of course she did, ... then blocks me." And it appears as though Gia and Jeremy's feud still stands because the two of them are not following each other on Instagram to this day. Manila Luzon and the Vixen. Manila Luzon competed on season 3, All Stars 1 and All Stars 4. And the Vixen competed on season 10 of Drag Race US. It appears as though Manila and the Vixen had a feud on Twitter back in December of 2018, and the Vixen blocked Manila. It's a bit of a complicated story, so I'll try and explain it in the most succinct way possible. It all started when actor and comedian Kevin Hart was invited to host the 2019 Oscars. However, several homophobic tweets and jokes that Kevin had made in the past were brought up, and many people criticised the Oscars for asking Kevin to host the awards. Later, in an Instagram video, Kevin said that the Oscars Academy had asked him to apologise or they would find another host. And Kevin said he wouldn't apologise because he had previously already apologised for his comments. And so Kevin was therefore cancelled as a host for the Oscars. Shortly after this, the Vixen tweeted about the situation and said, "This Kevin Hart stuff is yet another reminder of how quickly white people jump on the bandwagon to take out a black figure, brackets, that they didn't care about in the first place, but never see the issues with their own faves." Manila then responded to the Vixen's tweet by saying, "Yup, so disregard his homophobic tweets and keep giving him our money." The Vixen then tweeted saying, "Queens like Manila Luzon like to show up and disrupt convo for a laugh because they have no sense of social responsibility or moral compass, so it's just fun and games for them to JK about things that others take seriously. Plus, I remind her of her ex, so she's obsessed. It's fine." And that last part where the Vixen said, "I remind her of her ex," appeared to be a reference to Sahara Davenport, who competed on season 2 of Drag Race and sadly passed away in 2012. And Manila and Sahara had been in a relationship before Sahara's death. And a lot of people criticised the Vixen for bringing Sahara up, and the Vixen later tweeted saying she had deleted her original tweet because she respected Sahara and apologised for the quote low blow, but added that Manila had peed her off. There was then a string of tweets where the Vixen said she was blocking Manila because she was tired of her game. Manila then tweeted a screenshot showing that she had indeed been blocked by the Vixen and followed this up with several tweets. Among them, Manila said that the Vixen started conversations but couldn't handle other people's opinions. Manila also said that she had been a fan of the Vixen, but said that the Vixen's voice isn't heard because of her, quote, poor delivery, and added that the Vixen needs time to grow. Manila also gave more clarification on the Kevin Hart situation, and then finished by saying that the Vixen, quote, wishes she was as beautiful as a person as Sahara, and finished by saying, quote, don't come for our angel. And it appears as though Manila and the Vixen still have a beef because they still do not follow each other on Instagram to this day. Today we're going to be looking at 10 surprising RuPaul's Drag Race queens who have done adult entertainment. By now there have been over 150 contestants that have appeared over 14 seasons of US Drag Race plus international. And drag queens are often known for their looks and their aesthetic and being judged on their beauty, both in and out of drag. So it's probably not too much of a surprise that some of them have been involved with or worked in the adult entertainment industry in some form. Here are some of the RuPaul's Drag Race queens who have done adult entertainment. I also just want to mention that no explicit images will be used in this video. Aja. Aja competed on Season 9 and All Stars 3, placing 9th and 7th respectively. In October of 2020, Aja announced that she would be joining OnlyFans, offering not safe for work content. Aja also posted about it on Twitter, talking about their sexuality, their art, and offering this type of content. Detox. Detox, whose real name is Matthew Sanderson, competed on Season 5 and All Stars 2, placing 4th and runner-up respectively. Detox once appeared in an adult film under the name Sebastian Ford B.O.B. The film was made for Blacks on Boys and appears to be the only film that Detox has appeared in. Ariel Versace. Ariel, whose real name is Brian Neal, competed on Season 11 and placed 11th. In 2020, Ariel launched an OnlyFans under the name Brian Phillip. It apparently offers not safe for work content and more. Jade Jolie. Jade Jolie, whose real name is Josh Green, appeared on Season 5 and placed 8th. Jade appeared in several adult films under the name Tristan Everhard. One of the films sparked quite a bit of controversy because it was Nazi themed. Jade has since apologised and regrets doing the film, and has also said that she was pressurised by the boyfriend she had at the time to appear in these films and is regretful of doing them. Manila Luzon. Manila, whose real name is Carl Westerberg, competed on Season 3, All Stars 1 and All Stars 4, placing 2nd, 7th and 6th respectively. In 2017, Manila appeared in a gay adult parody of the movie Justice League. However, Manila only made a cameo appearance in the film and was fully clothed. Sasha Bell. Sasha, who is now known by a different drag name, Frisbee Jenkins, and the real name is Jared Breckenridge, competed on Season 7 and placed 13th. He joined OnlyFans under the name Iowa Boy. He was one of the first Drag Race contestants to jump on the OnlyFans wagon, so to speak, and offers 18 plus adult action and content on OnlyFans. Violet Chachki. Violet, whose real name is Paul Jason Dardo, competed on Season 7 and won. Violet appeared in several solo adult movies under the name Frankie Malone. Violet has since said that she does not regret it and is very body positive. Milk. Milk, whose real name is Daniel Donegan, appeared on Season 6 and All Stars 3, placing 9th both times. Milk announced in November 2020 that she was joining OnlyFans under the name Big and Milky. According to OnlyFans, Milk offers 18+ content. Dahlia Sin. Dahlia, whose real name is Eric Anthony, competed on Season 12 and placed 13th. Dahlia joined OnlyFans in late 2020 under the name Sin. According to OnlyFans, the account features, quote, endless streams of explicit content. Bianca Del Rio. Bianca, whose real name is Roy Haylock, competed on Season 6 and won. Bianca appeared in an adult movie for Men.com in 2015 with actors Colby Keller and Connor McGuire. However, Bianca was actually fully clothed. They used CGI and superimposed one of the actors' bodies over Bianca's body to make it look like Bianca was not wearing any clothes. Bianca's appearance is more of a joke, and for example, at one point she says, "Sissy that bleep," which is a play on words of RuPaul's song Sissy That Walk. Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today's video is about 13 more surprising RuPaul's Drag Race stars who have done adult entertainment work or some form of nudity work. The Vixen. The Vixen, whose real name is Anthony Taylor, competed on Season 10 and placed 7th. The Vixen has a Twitter with not safe for work content under the name @TonyUntucked, which is clearly a reference to Untucked on RuPaul's Drag Race. The Vixen also has an OnlyFans account with explicit content under the name Tony Untucked. Pheromone. Pheromone, whose real name is Cameron Clayton, competed on Season 9 and All Stars 4, placing 8th and 9th respectively. Farah actually made a guest appearance on a Men.com adult movie which is called Girls' Night. Farah is clothed during the appearance and is dressed as a fairy godmother. Farah even tweeted to say that she had appeared on adverts on a particular adult website, phub.com, and her image had been used in various ads from the movie. Sean Morales. So here we have our first non-drag queen on the list, but he was part of Pit Crew, so he was still a part of the RuPaul's Drag Race empire. Sean was a member of the Pit Crew on Drag Race from Season 1 until Season 6, and he's also made various appearances on other WoW Presents shows. Sean has worked previously as a go-go dancer, and he's also done several nude photo shoots and adult appearances. He appeared fully nude for the magazine The Star Effa, and there's also an adult movie that's been circulating the internet that appears to be Sean because of his tattoos, but his face isn't shown in the clip, so it's only a rumour and never been confirmed that it's him, but people think that it's him. Here is some bonus tea about Sean Morales. So no one really knows why Sean suddenly stopped appearing on RuPaul's Drag Race after Season 6, and no official explanation has ever been given for his departure. But this is where it gets slightly strange, There's some online articles that were circulating that claimed that Sean once had his gym membership revoked because of a, quote, intense body odour, and some people were complaining at his gym and his gym membership was revoked because of that. And some people think that this might be why he was dropped from the show, because it wasn't a good image for the show that one of their pit crew had been got rid of from his gym because of bad body odour. Sean even tweeted about this in September 2012. Rosé. Rosé, whose real name is Ross McCorkle, competed on season 13 and placed third. Rosé shared several tasteful nude photos that they had done as part of a photo shoot on their social media. These include several full frontal photos. Scarlett Adams. Scarlett, whose real name is Anthony Price, competed on season 1 of RuPaul's Drag Race Down Under and placed runner-up. Scarlett posted on Twitter in June of 2021 to announce that they had joined OnlyFans. The account is under the name Scarlett Adams and promises not safe for work content of Scarlett out of drag. Mimi First. Mimi, whose real name is Braden Chapman, appeared on season 3 and All Stars 1, placing 11th both times. Mimi appeared clothed in an adult parody of Harry Potter called Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Balls. In the movie, Mimi plays the character with the name of Fag Hagrid. Rock'em Sakura. Rock, whose real name is Brian Bradford, competed on season 12 and placed 12th. In a video which surfaced on the internet, it showed Rock receiving oral from another man at the Folsom Street Fair, which is an annual BDSM and leather subculture street fair which takes place in San Francisco. There are also other not safe for work images that come from that same event, but Rock doesn't seem to have done any other adult entertainment work outside of this event. Adore Delano. Adore, whose real name is Danny Noriega, competed on season 6 and All Stars 2, placing runner-up and 9th respectively. In October 2020, Adore announced via Twitter that they had launched an OnlyFans. The account is under the name Adore Delano and apparently features uncensored adult content. Honey Davenport. Honey, whose real name is James Heath Clark, competed on season 11 and placed 13th. Honey has made cameos in 2 adult movies for Noir Male called D the Halls and Santa's Cookies. In each movie, Honey does a Christmas innuendo-filled introduction at the beginning of each movie while clothed and poses with a children's-looking book. Honey has also posted several not safe for work explicit photos on Twitter. Jared North. Jared is a model who appeared as pit crew on season 9. Since then, Jared has done several photo shoots, including explicit not safe for work photo shoots that include full nudity. Gothy Kendall. Gothy, whose real name is Sam Handley, competed on Drag Race UK Season 1 and placed 10th. Gothy has an OnlyFans account under the name Gothy Kendall. The account apparently features lots of racy, explicit content, and Gothy has posted preview images of it on social media. Miss Fame. Miss Fame, whose real name is Curtis Dam Mickelson, competed on Season 7 and placed 7th. Miss Fame appears to have done a nude photo shoot, but it's not exactly clear when the photos were taken, but it appears that they were from before the show, which was in 2015. Alaska. Alaska, whose real name is Justin Honard, competed on Season 5 and All Stars 2, placing runner-up and winner respectively. Alaska made a cameo appearance clothed in an adult movie for men.com called A Controller 9. Alaska told fans via Instagram, quote, "I play a hard-headed, ambitious news reporter who is trying to make it to a major network when my co-star mysteriously has a remote control device put inside his bleep." Alaska has also appeared nude as part of the Gender Bent project, which celebrates the gender non-conforming and transgender community through empowering photography and interviews. Hello everyone, and welcome back for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets and drama. As we know, Season 15 of Drag Race has had its fair share of drama so far on the season, not just on screen but off screen too. I did a video about this a while back with some of the drama from Season 15, and I'm back with another video. So here are 5 more new dramas that you may not know about from Season 15 of RuPaul's Drag Race. Today we're going to be talking about Selena S. Titties calling out Ross Matthews, Mistress denying rumours from Willem and Alaska's podcast, and the continued drama of Aja versus Anitra. All that and more coming up in today's video, so let's get started. Selena S. Titties called out Ross Matthews. So, in last week's episode, Selena S. Titties was eliminated from Season 15, and you may remember that there was a tense moment on the runway when everyone was asked by RuPaul who should go home tonight and why, and several people said Selena's name. Well, Selena recently appeared at a viewing party, and she appeared to have some strong opinions about this, and she also spilled some unaired tea. Selena said that at first, when RuPaul asked that question, Anitra said, quote, "I can't do this," and didn't want to give an answer, but RuPaul forced her to. And Anitra was apparently crying and then eventually said Selena's name. But this wasn't aired, and in the episode, they made it look like Anitra said Selena's name straight away, but according to Selena, this was not actually the case. And at the same viewing party, Selena called out Judge Ross Matthews on stage for some of the critiques Ross had made about her. In last week's episode, the runway category was Everybody Say Glove, and Ross's critique to Selena was, quote, "There's so much going on the jumpsuit, I just realised you even had gloves on, but you know, maybe it would have been a more bold move to do some black with that and really service the gloves." And it appears that Selena was not very impressed at that critique. And on stage at the viewing party, Selena called Ross Matthews out and said, quote, "Ross Matthews, you can eat my ass, bleep. What the F does he know about fashion? I should have been wearing a black bodysuit. Look at what the F you're wearing, you sequin sweater jacket ass little B." But it appears that Selena and Ross seem to have reconciled since then. In a Twitter post from the 22nd of March, Selena said that she had had a great conversation with Ross and they had hashed out their issues. And Selena said she apologised for her actions and admitted that she was in her feelings and misstepped. Ross then commented on Selena's post saying, "Love you always." And this is not the first time that Selena has called out the judges. In episode 11, which was the stand-up comedy challenge, the runway category was Rip Her to Shreds, and it appears that there was a bit of backstage tea about Selena's outfit. On the runway, Selena mentioned that this outfit was the story of a woman escaping for a better life, and Selena talked about her mother crossing the border into the US. But later on social media, Selena posted saying that this outfit was dedicated to her mother, who sadly passed away from cancer in 2020, and it was about how her mother came from Honduras to the US and crossed the border. But Selena implied as though she was told by production not to talk about certain aspects of her story. In the post, Selena said, quote, "There's a lot of controversy and hush-hush over trigger words such as border control or immigration, which apparently was the reason I was urged, brackets warned, not to talk about this on the runway. But the fact is that it's the reality of a lot of Latin American people and families." However, Selena later changed the post on Instagram and removed the part where she said, quote, "I was urged, brackets warned, not to talk about this on the runway," but the full original post is still on her Facebook page. And some people have speculated that Selena may have been told to remove that part by World of Wonder because it paints them in a slightly negative light. However, this has not been confirmed. And Selena also once criticised the judges in a response to a comment on Instagram. Someone commented on one of Selena's posts saying, quote, "The judges suck this season, we love you." And Selena responded saying, quote, "Literally the worst, brackets not the guest judges, the puppets." Marsha versus Anitra meme. You may remember that in last week's comedy challenge, Marsha and Anitra were in the bottom and ended up lip-syncing against each other, with Marsha ultimately being eliminated. And the lip-sync was well received by the audience. Shortly after the episode aired, a Twitter user created a post which seemed to compare Marsha and Anitra and said that Marsha was things such as, quote, "pretty, trained dancer and young," whereas they said Anitra was, quote, "fugly, crusty moves and old and decaying." Another Twitter user then called them out and said that they were not a real fan of Marsha's if they were acting this way. And the user responded saying, quote, "I'm a real fan fighting for her when she's facing false slander, brackets, people saying Anitra won the lip sync, and I know she would appreciate it." But then Marsha herself responded and said, quote, "I don't appreciate this at all. My friendship with Anitra means much more to me than this TV show. If you wouldn't want someone saying this about you, you shouldn't say it about someone else. Delete this immediately." The post was not deleted, however, and is still on Twitter. But this post went viral and other people started copying it and turning it into a jokey meme. And this includes Canada's Drag Race Season 3 contestant Miss Fiercelicious, as well as YouTuber Tyler Oakley. And Season 14 contestant Cornbread also made a similar meme comparing herself and Season 4 contestant Madame LaQueer because they both had ankle injuries on Drag Race. And just as a side note, Cornbread implied recently that she and Madame LaQueer might have a beef, which is perhaps why Cornbread tweeted this meme. On the podcast Sloppy Seconds with Meatball and Big Dipper, Cornbread was asked if she would ever collab with Madame LaQueer because she was the original ankle injury queen. And Cornbread said, quote, "Girl, she don't like me, I don't like her either." And then Cornbread implied as though one time a Madame LaQueer thought that Cornbread had been stealing her tips and her, quote, "ratty wigs." But anyway, this post about Marsha versus Anitra has become a bit of a joke now within the Drag Race community on social media, and people are still posting things about it. Twitter hack. Social media is a very important tool for the Drag Race contestants, and Twitter is often the platform where the queens voice their real opinions about things, and many of the queens have built up a large audience. But several queens have also had their Twitter accounts hacked, presumably so that the hackers can leverage the queen's large audience. Several weeks ago, Selena Estitti's Twitter account posted saying that she had 10 MacBooks for sale and that she had personally signed them, and there were several tweets about it. And people weren't sure at the beginning if Selena's Twitter had been hacked or not, but Selena later confirmed that she was indeed hacked and those posts were then deleted. And after that, people started making jokes about it and saying that they had received their MacBooks from Selena. And it appears that Season 13 contestant Got Mick also recently had her Twitter account hacked in the same way. and people weren't sure if Gottmik was just making a joke about it, but Gottmik posted on an Instagram story confirming that her Twitter had indeed been hacked. And the next day, Gottmik tweeted saying that she had got her Twitter account back and joked that she was not selling any discount electronics. So it appears as though this Twitter hack has now affected 2 different Drag Race queens, and we'll have to see if any other queens also get hacked. Mistress denies comments made by Willem and Alaska. As you may remember, in episode 10 of season 15, the challenge was that the queens had to interview different celebrities, and the runway theme was A Night of 1,000 Beyoncés, and Mistress Isabel Brooks wore an outfit representing Destiny's Child. I did talk about this in my Roscoe's recap, which I'll link to in the description, but that week, Malaysia and Selena were in the bottom, and Malaysia went home. But many people thought that Mistress would have been in the bottom. Malaysia was then a guest at Roscoe's that week, and she implied as though in Untucked, Mistress had a quote fit, which was unaired, and apparently Mistress said that because she was in a gown, she wouldn't be able to move much in the lip sync, and told Malaysia that she would have to dance around her. And Malaysia implied as though the producers caught wind of this conversation and wanted to protect Mistress, so they didn't put her in the bottom. Anyway, after that episode, Willem and Alaska talked about this on their podcast Race Chaser, and Willem said that she had heard that Mistress threw a giant tantrum. Alaska then said that from the intel they had received, Selena should not have been in the bottom, and Malaysia and Mistress should have been in the bottom and lip-synced, but the producers wanted to save Mistress. And Mistress has since come out and denied these claims. In a Twitter post, Mistress said that it wasn't true and that people were believing rumours from people who weren't in the room, which people took to be a reference to Willem and Alaska. Mistress also said that the contestants do not call the shots and denied that the show would have saved her because the lip sync would have made good TV. And Mistress made the point that Malaysia had said herself during the Roscoe's viewing party that she felt that it was her time to go and she knew that she was going to be eliminated that week. Mistress also said that people can stop tagging Willem in her tweets. And this may be because Willem responded to Mistress's original tweet explaining that Willem had heard this from multiple girls, which Mistress replied to by saying, quote, "You have a blessed day." But it appears as though Willem reached out to Mistress by phone and they talked about this, because Mistress later tweeted saying, "I love a bee who will pick up that phone and be direct. You are a key, Willem. Can't wait till we cut up in real life." Aja versus Anitra drama continued. I did talk about this topic in one of my Roscoe's recap videos, which I'll link to in the description, so make sure you check this out for the full story. But just in case you don't know, a while back, Season 9 and All Stars 3 contestant Aja previously criticised Anitra's voguing on Drag Race and called Anitra's moves, quote, crusty, and implied that Anitra was doing it wrong. And after that, people accused Aja of trying to gatekeep voguing, and this has become a widely talked about issue in the Drag Race community. And Anitra then apparently unfollowed Aja on social media. However, what you may not know is that this drama has continued since then. Back when Aja originally criticised Anitra, Aja questioned whether Anitra had a background in ballroom/Vogue, and Aja even said that she had reached out to Anitra to ask. And recently, a Twitter user said that Aja should have reached out to Anitra, and Aja shared a screenshot of the message she sent Anitra back in January asking, "Hey baby, congrats on your win last night, do you have a ballroom history?" Then, in the comments to that post, Twitter users said that Aja had appropriated Japanese culture during her All Stars 3 talent show, and said that Aja shouldn't accuse people of appropriating ballroom culture. And Aja replied to this talking about appropriation and saying that the conversation had moved on to about how crunchy the fans act. And this led to a lot more critical comments of Aja in the replies, and Aja responded to some of them. However, in the end, Aja tweeted saying that she was going to, quote, shut up and let people, quote, live in ignorance, and said that she had spoken her opinion. Aja also made the point that Drag Race fans have tantrums about people's opinions. And Aja then replied to a Twitter user who implied that Aja was jealous of Anitra because Aja didn't get as far in the competition as Anitra has. Aja then replied to this and said that she, quote, literally doesn't give an F about Drag Race and said that she's in the best place I've ever been in my life. And Aja then clarified what she meant about Drag Race and said, just to be clear, when I say that I don't care, I'm talking in reference to the placement that I had on the show because it doesn't matter to me, especially since I was able to make so much with it after the show. I do appreciate the show a lot. But Aja doesn't seem to have tweeted any more about the situation since then. Hello everyone and welcome back for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets and drama. For today's video, I thought it would be interesting to ask Drag Race queens that I know if they would reveal how much they spent on preparing for RuPaul's Drag Race, and some of their answers might surprise you. And this includes queens such as Mrs. Kasha Davis, Pandora Box, and Anita Wiglet. All that and more coming up in today's video, so let's get started. So, as we all know, preparing for Drag Race is not only stressful for the queens, but it can also be very expensive. The queens usually need to have an outfit for every runway, plus outfits for mini challenges, as well as lip syncs and promos, and this can become very expensive. As Drag Race has evolved, the expectation has also evolved with it. In earlier seasons, queens wore a lot more off-the-rack clothing or fairly simple outfits compared to today's standards. However, queens nowadays are expected to have custom-made outfits, and this can be very expensive and difficult for the queens, especially if the queen is eliminated earlier in the season and doesn't get to show off all of their looks. And some queens do manage to not spend that much. For example, Shea Coulee revealed that she only spent $500 on season 9 because she made the outfits herself. But for a lot of the queens, if they are not good seamstresses, that's not really an option. There have been many articles over the years talking about how much queens have spent on their seasons, and the queens themselves have also talked about this in interviews or on social media, etc. For example, at a Roscoe's viewing party, US season 15 contestant Lucy LaDuca said that she spent around $20,000 for season 15. And at another Roscoe's viewing party for Canada vs. the World, Isis Couture revealed that she spent around $70,000 for that season. And this got me thinking about the drag queens that I know and how much they have spent, so I reached out to some of the queens that I know and asked them if they would be comfortable revealing how much they spent on their seasons. And although some queens told me that they didn't want to talk about it, many of them did, and some of their answers really surprised me, and I thought that it would make a really interesting video. And I'd like to say thank you to all of the queens who agreed to share this information with me for this video. I really appreciate it. So here is how much these 15 queens spent on RuPaul's Drag Race. Mrs. Kasha Davis. Mrs. Kasha Davis competed on season 7 of Drag Race US and placed 11th after being eliminated in episode 5. When I asked Kasha how much she had spent on season 7, she couldn't remember exactly but guessed that it was somewhere in the region of $5,000 to $10,000 US. But Kasha made the point that drag was very different back when she filmed season 7 in 2015, and the current season queens probably spend more like anywhere between $5,000 to $60,000. And Kasha said that for a cute, simple cut stretch fabric custom made gown, it would cost around $150 to $400. And once you add better fabric and elaborate design concepts, you're looking at more like $1,500 to $3,000 per gown. Kasha also made an interesting point and said that some designers don't jump at the opportunity to design for older plus-size queens who don't have a huge social media following. And she even said that some designers didn't respond back to her when she contacted them with an inquiry about making an outfit for her. And Kasha said that for season 7, she used a lot of her own garments, and she even bought some stuff from Sequin Queen, which is an online retail store that sells sequin outfits at pretty affordable prices. Reggie B. Reggie B competed on season 2 of Drag Race Holland and placed 9th after being eliminated in episode 2. Reggie said that for Drag Race, she spent around €10,000, which is around $10,500 US. And Reggie said that her outfits varied greatly in price depending on the fabric and materials used. And although Reggie couldn't remember her specifically, she would imagine that her Beauty and the Beast inspired outfit that she would have worn for the Monsters Ball in episode 3 would have been her most expensive outfit because of how elaborate it is. And it's a shame that she didn't get to wear it on Drag Race, and she said during my interview with her that it's also hard to find an opportunity to wear an outfit like that outside of Drag Race. Beverly Kills. Beverly Kills competed on season 2 of Drag Race Down Under and placed 5th after being eliminated in episode 6. Beverly said that when she got cast on the show, she was 20 years old and was a broke student, and she didn't own a lot of drag at the time. So she had to go out and buy a lot of wigs and shoes in different colours that she didn't already have in her collection. And Beverly said that overall for Drag Race plus photo shoots after the show, she spent around 6,500 Australian dollars, which is around 4,300 US dollars. Beverly also said that this included the price of some stuff that she already owned, such as some of her wigs as well as her outfit for the Girl Group Challenge in episode 5. I asked Beverly if she used a designer to make her outfits, and she said that her friend and mentor, Mandy Moobs, made most of her outfits and Beverly helped plan and design them. And for her fly look in episode 2, Beverly said that the fabric was actually more expensive than the actual construction of the outfit. And Beverly's yellow and blue octopus outfit that she used for the premiere took the longest to make because she painted and stoned it by hand. Oceane Aqua Black. Oceane Aqua Black competed on Canada's Drag Race Season 2 and placed 11th after being eliminated in Episode 2. Oceane said that she spent around 30,000 Canadian dollars on Drag Race, which is just under 22,000 US dollars. And Oceane said that Drag Race was a very expensive experience for her and she is still paying for it now. Oceane said that her circus look, which she wore in episode 2, was probably her most expensive look. And she also said that her look for the 7 Deadly Sins runway, which she would have worn in episode 6, as well as her Dungeons and Drag Queens runway, which she would have worn in episode 7, were her 2 other most expensive outfits. And Oceane said that all of her looks were custom made specifically for Drag Race, and although they were expensive, she understood that it was all part of the game of being on Drag Race. Anubis. Anubis competed on Drag Race UK Season 3 and placed 12th after being eliminated in the first episode. Anubis said that for Drag Race she spent around £18,000, which is around 21,500 US dollars. And Anubis added that this was her entire life savings / earnings. And although Anubis didn't get to show many of her looks on the show, she shared her unaired looks on Instagram, and we can see how elaborate and intricate a lot of her outfits were, so it's easy to see how she spent so much money. And as a separate point, I think it's important to note that Drag Race UK does not have a monetary prize because it's produced by the BBC, which is a publicly funded channel, and no BBC shows are therefore allowed to be sponsored. And so for the UK queens, going on Drag Race is an even bigger investment because there's no chance of receiving any kind of monetary prize at the end. And I know that some UK queens spent upwards of around £25,000, which is just under 30,000 US dollars, so it is a huge investment. But the reason the queens go on the show, of course, is to try and increase their exposure and hopefully make the money back in the form of bookings and publicity. Spanky Jackson. Spanky Jackson competed on Season 2 of Drag Race Down Under and was the winner. Spanky said that for Drag Race, she spent around 12,000 New Zealand dollars, which is around 7,400 US dollars. Spanky said that around 6 of her 14 total outfits were custom made for Drag Race. And although Spanky couldn't remember exactly, she thinks that her most expensive outfit was her Fly Girl Insects runway in episode 2. And also her Opposites Attract pineapple pizza look, which was used in the episode 7 makeover challenge, was also very expensive. Vanda Miss Joakim. Vanda Miss Joakim competed on Season 2 of Drag Race Thailand and placed 4th/5th after being eliminated in episode 11. Vanda said that for Drag Race Thailand, because she's from Singapore and lives there, she had to pay for her own flights to Thailand so she could film the show. Vanda said that she spent approximately 10,000 Singapore dollars, which is around 7,400 US dollars. And Vanda added that the majority of her budget was spent on flights, transportation, accommodation, and food, so she didn't have much money left for the outfits. And because of that, Vanda had to reuse and make do with whatever she already owned. And what I thought was interesting about this is that Vanda said that she had to pay for her own transport, food, and accommodation. However, on other versions of Drag Race, as far as I know, this is all provided by the show and the contestants don't have to pay for things like that. And another interesting thing that I read online was that Vanda, as well as her fellow season 2 sister Mocha Diva, had to keep going back to their home countries, which are Singapore and the Philippines respectively, because they needed to get more materials and outfits. And I asked Vanda about this and she confirmed that it was true, and she said that during the filming of the competition, she had to keep flying back to Singapore because she still had to work in order to have the money to sustain herself after the competition. And Vanda also said that she had to go back to Singapore to prepare her outfits for the reunion and the finale. So this just shows you how different the production was on Drag Race Thailand compared to the other franchises of Drag Race. Kiara competed on Canada's Drag Race Season 1 and placed 8th after being eliminated in Episode 5. Kiara said that for Drag Race, she spent around 10,000 Canadian dollars, which is around 7,300 US dollars. And Kiara said that almost all of her looks were custom made specifically for Drag Race. However, Kiara said that for the Not My First Time runway in episode 2, she already owned that outfit from before the show, so that was at least one outfit that she didn't have to have custom made for the show. Coco Jumbo competed on season 1 of Drag Race Down Under and placed 9th after being eliminated in episode 3. Coco said that for Drag Race, she spent around 10,000 Australian dollars, which is around 6,600 US dollars. Coco added that because season 1 of Drag Race Down Under was filmed during COVID, she didn't have very much work and therefore didn't have much money. So she ended up having to borrow a lot of money from her mother. Coco said that her wigs were also quite expensive and had to be styled, and she also said that everything was custom made for Drag Race except for the purple corset that she wore in the girl group challenge in episode 3. Eve 6000 competed on season 2 of Canada's Drag Race and placed 8th after being eliminated in episode 5. Eve said that for Drag Race, she spent around 12,000 Canadian dollars, which is around 8,700 US dollars. Eve said that luckily she had 2 people who were kind enough to loan her money so that she could prepare for Drag Race because she was pretty much broke at the time. And Eve also said that her designers were on partially deferred payments, which meant that she was able to finish paying them back after the filming of Drag Race. Eve also said that her lion look for the Circus Berserkers runway in episode 2 was probably her most expensive outfit due to the material and labour costs involved in making it. And Eve said that she tried to keep each of her outfits under the equivalent of around 1,000 US dollars, but she said that fabric in Canada is much more expensive than it is in the US, which means that drag in general in Canada is usually very expensive. Another interesting thing that Eve said is that she purchased a corset for the equivalent of around 500 US dollars from someone who has made corsets for some very high profile Drag Race queens. But the corset was apparently the wrong size and fell apart after only 4 fittings. Minnie Cooper competed on season 2 of Drag Race Down Under and placed 7th after being eliminated in episode 4. Minnie said that for Drag Race, she spent approximately 6,000 Australian dollars, which is around just under 4,000 US dollars. And Minnie said that because she had limited funds, she had to be smart about her choices, and she used a few outfits that she already owned. For example, Minnie's entrance look was something that she had from years before, but she used it because it fit the theme of racing and the show is called Drag Race, so she felt that it would work perfectly for that purpose. Minnie also said that she already owned the looks that she used for her bottomless brunch challenge in episode 3 as well as her finale look. And Minnie said that if you added up how much she spent on the outfits that she already owned and then added that to how much she spent just for the Drag Race outfits, it would probably be triple what she originally spent, and it would be somewhere in the region of around $12,000. But Minnie added that although it's a lot of money, she understood that going on the show was a good way for her to show people her style of drag, as well as increase her exposure to audiences that didn't already know her. Giselle Lullaby. Giselle Lullaby competed on season 3 of Canada's Drag Race and was the winner. Giselle said that for Drag Race, she spent just under 10,000 Canadian dollars, which is around $7,300. Giselle said that around 8 of her looks were made by designers and then she finished them off herself, and then the rest of the outfits she made totally herself. In terms of her most expensive outfit, Giselle said that it was probably her Coronation Eleganza look from episode 9. And Giselle also said that the jacket that she wore for her dystopian drag look in episode 7 was also one of her most expensive outfits. Anita Wiglet. Anita Wiglet competed on season 1 of Drag Race Down Under, where she placed 8th, and she also competed on Canada vs. the World, where she placed 7th. Anita said for Drag Race Down Under season 1, she spent the equivalent of around $6,000. And for Canada vs. the World, she spent around $9,000. And in general, Anita said that she tried to do everything as cheaply as possible due to the fact that she had limited funds. Anita said that her Arctic Fox Lady look from Canada vs. the World episode 3 was actually her unused finale look from Drag Race Down Under season 1. Anita also said something interesting about her entrance look for Canada vs. the World. Anita said that it was worth around $6,500 because it had about 3 kilograms, which is around 6.5 pounds, of Swarovski stones and 25 meters or 82 feet of Italian-made wedding fabric. And Anita said that this dress was gifted to her by a New Zealand designer named Karen Walker, and it was made and designed specifically for Anita. However, Anita said that she had to give it back after filming because she never actually owned the outfit, it was just a loaned outfit, even though it was custom made for Anita. Miss Mosu. Miss Mosu competed on season 3 of Canada's Drag Race and placed 11th after being eliminated in episode 2. Miss Mosu said that although up till now she had never publicly said how much she spent on Drag Race, she didn't mind sharing with me that she spent around 20,000 Canadian dollars, which is around $14,500. Miss Mosu also said that all of her outfits were custom made just for Drag Race, which equated to around at least 12 custom made outfits. Pandora Box. Pandora Box competed on Season 2, All Stars 1 and also All Stars 6, where she placed 5th, 11th and 6th respectively. For Season 2, Pandora said that she didn't remember what she spent because they got very little direction, and so they didn't really know what they would really need to bring with them. But Pandora added that she made most of her outfits for Season 2 herself. The only one that she didn't make herself was her reunion car outfit, which was made by designer Marco Marco. Pandora also said that for All Stars 1, they were given a list of 18 outfits that they might need. But then there was the twist of the queens getting put into teams, so the outfits they bought were basically not even used. For All Stars 6, Pandora said that they shot it during the beginning of the pandemic. And they only had 3 weeks to get the outfits together, which was around 16 to 18 total looks, plus additional looks for performances and promos, etc. Pandora said that it was tough to get it all done with basically no job at the time because they couldn't do live shows due to the pandemic. And Pandora added, quote, "Let's just say my credit card debt was quite large." Pandora also said that it's kind of crazy that you have to get in debt to go on a TV show. Although Pandora did say that eventually she did pay it all off, and thankfully drag performers are now able to work again. Pandora also said that her entrance look for All Stars 6 was her most expensive outfit ever. And for her pop art look on All Stars 6, they had some difficulties with it and Pandora had to do a last-minute different dress instead. Overall, Pandora estimated that over the 3 seasons she competed in, she probably spent somewhere in the region of tens of thousands of US dollars. Hello everyone and welcome back for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets and drama. Today we're going to be talking about 5 queens who have been banned from Drag Race or have had some kind of beef with the show, including Max, Enorma Jean and Delta Work. All that and more coming up in today's video, so let's get started. Max competed on season 7 of Drag Race US and placed 9th. Max actually had a pretty good run on the show and racked up 2 mini challenge wins and 1 maxi challenge win. Max generally received positive critiques from the judges, and the only negative critique Max ever got was from Michelle, saying that her grey hair and makeup were getting repetitive. However, in episode 7, which was the Snatch Game, Max portrayed season 4 winner Sharon Needles and did not do a very good job. Then, during the main stage critiques, Max was shown to loosen her corset and production stopped and members of the production crew came over to help Max. They then cut to a shot of Max sitting down on the steps of the stage and singing a song which Michelle didn't look very impressed at. And on the show they made it look like Max was just taking advantage of the moment and was causing some drama and being a diva. After the show aired in 2015, Max said that the edit made her look crazy and that it didn't exactly happen the way that it was shown. In an interview with Joseph Shepherd, Max said that she felt faint and her corset was uncomfortable, and the producers had told them previously that if they ever felt unwell, they should let them know, which is what Max did. Max said that it was actually RuPaul who asked her to sing something, presumably to try and take Max's mind off it, or it was a reference to the Judy Garland movie A Star Is Born, where Judy sits on the edge of the stage and sings. Max said that she was surprised that the show decided to keep that part in and questioned what their motives were. And Max also wondered whether the show was trying to add in an element of unlikability about Max because she was in the bottom that week and that would have justified the judge's decision. Also back in 2018, Max tweeted saying, "I would love to be back in the game. I would love to be back on VH1. I would love to be verified and gigged and all that comes with it. I simply have not been cast and I do believe casting is closed." And another time she tweeted saying, "And I ain't gonna be on All Stars anything because 1, they haven't called, and 2, why willingly place yourself around untrustworthy people?" So because Max has been slightly critical of the show on multiple occasions, and she has also said that she wouldn't go back on, this is maybe why she has not been asked to be back on Drag Race again. Willem competed on season 4 of Drag Race US and was disqualified from the competition in episode 8. I think for many Drag Race fans, when you think of queens that have been banned from the show, Willem is probably one of the first queens you'd think of. On season 4, Willem did very well and racked up 2 mini challenge wins and 3 maxi challenge wins and only landed in the bottom once. In episode 8, which was the Frenemies episode, Willem and Latrice were partnered together and ended up winning the challenge, with Sharon Needles and Fifi O'Hara landing in the bottom and lip-syncing. However, Willem was called forward and RuPaul said that it had been brought to their attention that Willem had broken the rules and that Willem was disqualified from the competition. And then, at the finale episode, everyone asked, what did Willem do? And the story that Willem said is that she was receiving conjugal visits from her husband, and that's why she was eliminated. However, since then, Willem has said that that story was made up, and that she only agreed to go along with it because she wanted to get on All Stars. Willem has talked about this in several interviews, and on her podcast as well as in a series of tweets that are pinned on her Twitter. Willem explained that she actually wanted to get kicked off the show so that she could go and star in a musical at the Fringe Festival. So she was deliberately breaking the rules and telling production what she was doing, such as stealing things from set like shoes and feathers, as well as having a computer. Willem also went on to explain that she slept with one of the producers of Untucked during a show in New York, and they had sex in the bathroom and were eventually thrown out. Apparently Willem then had lunch with this producer, who said he was trying to get Willem back in with World of Wonder, but nothing came of it. Willem also confirmed that she was booked to be on All Stars 1, but then at the last minute she was cancelled, and she was annoyed about it because she had turned down lots of paid work to clear her schedule. Since then, Willem has repeatedly criticised RuPaul and the show, and apparently Willem once yelled at RuPaul in the street, and RuPaul told Willem to F off. Willem has also said that RuPaul is out of touch and has continued to spill lots of backstage tea on her podcast Race Chaser with Alaska, as well as in other interviews. So because of all of this, it's probably unlikely that Willem will ever be appearing back on Drag Race anytime soon. Enorma Jean. Enorma Jean competed on season 1 of Drag Race Italia and was eliminated in episode 4 due to bad behaviour. For anyone that didn't watch Drag Race Italia, I'm going to give you a brief overview of what happened. Enorma had had several disagreements with other contestants throughout her run on Drag Race, and she had voiced her opinion several times, which caused a lot of tension. In Untucked of episode 3, there was a huge argument between Enorma and most of the rest of the cast, especially Avant-Garde. At one point, Enorma started shouting and swearing at members of the production team and stormed off set.
Tu, voi autori, a me a 46 anni, mi potete mettere in mezzo a queste Una competizione sta
In the next episode, which was Snatch Game, after Snatch Game Challenge had been done, Enorma and Avant-Garde were asked to come to the main stage and the rest of the cast were watching backstage. The judges said that as punishment for their inappropriate behaviour towards the production staff, Enorma and Avant-Garde had to lip-sync for their life, and one of them would be eliminated from the competition. In the end, Avant-Garde won the lip-sync and Enorma sashayed away, and the other contestants seemed happy that Enorma had lost. After the show aired, Enorma went live on Instagram and explained what happened. According to Enorma, the other queens ganged up on her and conspired to get her kicked off. Enorma alleged that the queens deliberately started arguments with Enorma to make her look bad and to trigger her. Enorma also said that she didn't think that she did anything wrong. And in fact, Vanessa Van Cartier, who was the winner of Drag Race Holland Season 2, joined Enorma in the live. And for any of you wondering why, Vanessa is actually of Italian origin and she speaks Italian fluently. Anyway, on the live, Vanessa actually defended Enorma and supported her and said that Enorma didn't really do anything wrong. A few months later, Enorma posted on her Instagram story that Priscilla, who is the host of Drag Race Italia, had blocked her on Instagram. In the post, Enorma criticised Priscilla, effectively calling her fake and, quote, "She invited me to feel ashamed of myself. I hope she will be proud this month." There have also been some allegations on Reddit and other forums saying that Enorma is problematic and has used transphobic language in the past. However, I couldn't find any concrete evidence of this. So it appears as though Enorma is unlikely to return to Drag Race due to her behaviour on set, and especially if the host of the show has blocked her. Pearl. Pearl competed on Season 7 of Drag Race US and placed runner-up. Throughout Season 7, there was a storyline that Pearl needed to, quote, wake up, and that she wasn't trying hard enough. However, this seemed to turn around as the season progressed and she made it to the final 4. Pearl racked up 2 mini-challenge wins, but no maxi-challenge wins, and she fell in the bottom twice, winning both lip-syncs. One of the moments Pearl is probably best known for is during episode 5, which was the Despy Awards, where Pearl was partnered with Max. There was a tense moment between Pearl and RuPaul in the workroom when RuPaul said that Pearl didn't have a strong personality. Pearl seemingly didn't take kindly to this and snapped back at RuPaul, and there was an uncomfortable stare-off between Pearl and RuPaul. Pearl finally broke the silence by saying, quote, "Is there something on my face?" and RuPaul said that she wasn't convinced before walking away.
There's something on my face.
Yeah.
Later in the episode, Pearl and Max ended up winning the challenge, and Pearl thanked RuPaul for giving her the smackdown she needed to wake her up. Pearl later talked about this infamous moment between her and RuPaul during an interview with Hey Queen. In the interview, Pearl said that before they even started filming the season, all the contestants had to film a segment where they recorded their own versions of RuPaul's songs. Pearl said that RuPaul was there, which was a surprise to the queens, and it was the first time Pearl had ever seen RuPaul, who she idolised. Pearl then went on to say that after they had filmed this segment, bearing in mind this was before they had even started filming season 7, the cameras had gone down for a moment, and Pearl took an opportunity to tell RuPaul how much she admired her. And apparently RuPaul responded by saying, quote, "Nothing you say matters unless that camera is rolling." And Pearl said that that was the reason why she had, quote, "one foot in, one foot out" for the entire competition, and she described RuPaul's comments as disrespectful and rotted. After the Hey Queen interview aired, Pearl appeared in an interview with Joseph Shepard where she confirmed that a producer from the show had called her and said that she would not be welcome back on All Stars because of the comments she had made on Hey Queen. And Pearl has also said on Instagram previously that she would go back on All Stars if she was asked. There was also a video uploaded to Pearl's YouTube channel where Pearl was doing her makeup whilst listening to RuPaul and Michelle's podcast What's the Tea? In the video, Pearl is sipping tea and spits it out when RuPaul and Michelle start talking about that moment in the workroom where Pearl said, "Is there something on my face?" In the clip, RuPaul says, quote, "When Pearl said that thing, do I have something on my face? This is what I was thinking. Because I'm a producer of the show, what I wanted to say was different from what I actually said." RuPaul then continued and said, quote, "What I really wanted to say was, let me help you pack your effing bags, B, because you're effing out of here now." RuPaul then went on to explain that because Pearl was a cute boy and Ru knew that Pearl was going to be popular on the show, she didn't want to go off on her. And in the video, Pearl is clearly making faces at what Ru and Michelle are saying and implying as though Ru and Michelle are being hypocritical. So given the comment made by the producer that called Pearl and said she wouldn't be welcome back on All Stars, as well as some of the other things Pearl has said about RuPaul on the show, it appears as though she might not be appearing on Drag Race anytime soon. Delta Work. Delta Work competed on season 3 of Drag Race US and placed 7th. Some of you may know this already, but after Delta competed on season 3, she started working as RuPaul's hairstylist from the second episode of season 9, and season 2 contestant Raven took over as Ru's makeup artist. This was because RuPaul's previous makeup artist, Matthew Anderson, had apparently quit suddenly during the start of season 9 after a dispute. Anyway, Delta worked as RuPaul's hairstylist, and her and Raven actually received an Emmy nomination for their work on season 9. However, this nomination was later rescinded because the nomination was for season 9 episode 1, but Delta and Raven hadn't started working for RuPaul at that point because they only started in episode 2. It's quite a complicated story, but the YouTube channel Green Gay did a really good video about this, which you should definitely check out if you want a full explanation of the story, and I'll put a link to the video in the description. Anyway, to cut a long story short, Delta was eligible to win an Emmy for her work on season 10, but she was told that she would have to join a union in order to qualify. Raven agreed to join the union, but Delta refused and said that she couldn't afford the membership fee, which was approximately $5,000. Delta then reportedly was fired from the show, or her contract was simply not renewed. It's down to interpretation, but either way, she no longer works for the show. In fact, in an interview with the podcast Race Chaser, Delta claimed that the producers failed to nominate her for her work on season 10 and then ceased any communication with her when it came time to work on new seasons of the show. And Delta actually left a comment on Green Gay's video giving some further explanation. She said, quote, "The production company chose to erase me and hide behind the policy that each production company can remove whoever they want from an Emmy nomination." Delta also said, "I believed in them, but not one person stood up behind me to say that I was right." And then she ended the comment by saying, "Everybody say love, I guess." And Delta has also made other critical comments about Drag Race, such as during an interview with Hey Queen, where she said that there was a lack of diversity on Drag Race and that the show should be more inclusive to different types of drag. So because of all of these reasons, there seems to be some bad blood between Delta and the show, so it seems unlikely that she'll ever be asked back on the show. Hello everyone, and welcome back for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets and drama. Because you all really liked my last video about queens who have been banned from Drag Race, I thought I'd make a part 2. So here are 5 more queens who have been banned from Drag Race or are unlikely to be asked back on the show, including Carmen Carrera, Courtney Act, and Sherry Pie, among others. All that and more coming up in today's video, so let's get started. Carmen Carrera. Carmen Carrera appeared on season 3 of Drag Race US and placed 5th. After Cameron appeared on Drag Race in 2011, she came out as transgender in 2012 and no longer considers herself to be a drag queen. Carmen has gone on to become a successful TV personality, model, actress, as well as a transgender activist. Carmen's run on Drag Race was pretty good and she almost made it to the final 4, and many people expected her to come back for an All-Stars series at some point. However, Carmen has been vocally critical of RuPaul and the show in the past. For example, in March 2014, in an interview with Advocate, Carmen said that the use of the term she-male, quote, just wasn't cool, and she said that RuPaul and the show should know better. And then later in 2015, there was some more controversy about trans representation on Drag Race after the mini challenge in season 6 called Female or She-Male was removed from the show after it received backlash. Just to explain for those of you who may not have seen it, the mini challenge consisted of contestants being shown a zoomed in photo of someone, and the contestants had to guess whether it was a quote biological woman or psychological woman. The mini challenge drew a huge amount of controversy, with people saying it was insensitive to the trans community and was transphobic. The backlash led to RuPaul defending his use of certain words which were labelled transphobic, and RuPaul had also said in the past that he didn't think trans contestants should be able to compete. But RuPaul later seemingly backtracked on these comments, and Drag Race has now had several openly trans contestants. And the show has changed some of the wording they use, such as she-male is now called ru-male, and the title sequence song used to say let the best woman win, and now it says may the best drag queen win. However, during the time when RuPaul was defending his opinions on trans contestants, Carmen made several critical comments about RuPaul. For example, Carmen also said once on Twitter, quote, why are people still shocked that at RuPaul's Drag Race are not an ally to the trans community? What have I been telling you for years? WTF lol, the bleep they put me through, and then all y'all supporting their bull bleep like LeMayo, come on now. And in another tweet, which has since been deleted, Carmen said that, quote, RuPaul is the Hitler, false prophet, antichrist of the LGBTQ community. So because of these critical comments that Carmen has made about RuPaul and the show, it would appear that she is likely to be banned from ever competing or appearing on Drag Race again. Although I doubt Carmen would want to be on Drag Race again anyway, because she no longer considers herself a drag queen and she has had a successful career outside of drag. Courtney Act. Courtney Act appeared on season 6 of Drag Race and made it to the final 3. Courtney did well on her season and has gone on to become one of the most successful queens from the show. She has appeared in multiple TV shows such as Big Brother and Dancing with the Stars, as well as having a successful music career. However, many people have wondered why Courtney has not appeared on an All-Stars season yet. In an interview with Metro in June of 2020, Courtney was asked about All-Stars and she said, quote, I have not been approached. I haven't had the opportunity to decline. I love Drag Race so much, I loved being on it and I love watching All Stars, but I would decline because I've worked so hard to build up my career and what I do, and it's very important to me. Courtney also echoed this sentiment in an interview with Digital Spy in July of 2020, where she said that she hasn't been asked to be on All Stars, but she would say no because, quote, I've worked so hard at getting my career to where it's at that handing over my image to the Drag Race producers is not something I'm willing to do. And Courtney also implied as though she didn't feel like she was treated very well by the show during season 6. In her memoir called Caught in the Act, which came out in November of 2021, Courtney admitted that she felt hurt by what had happened at the season 6 finale. To give some backstory, at the Drag Race finales, to avoid spoilers getting leaked, each of the finalists has to film themselves winning, and then in the final edit, the producers only use the footage for the one queen that actually won. For example, as we all know, Bob the Drag Queen won season 8. However, the footage of the other finalists, namely Kim Chi and Naomi Smalls, filming their winning speeches has since been leaked.
Is there anything you'd like to say?
It's been confirmed by Bianca Del Rio in an interview with Joseph Shepard that at the season 6 finale, Bianca, Adore and Courtney each had to film themselves winning. However, Bianca added that they also filmed a tie between Bianca and Adore, so it was obvious that Courtney was not going to win. In her memoir, Courtney said that she felt, quote, intentionally publicly humiliated during that experience. Courtney also said that RuPaul had bluntly told her once that she lacked humanity. And Courtney also said that she wanted to include more scandalous backstage tea from Drag Race in her memoir, but ultimately decided not to include it because she thought it would be in bad taste. And similarly, in September of 2022, Courtney was asked in an interview with Pink News if she would ever be interested in being involved with Drag Race Down Under because Courtney is Australian. Courtney replied by saying, quote, yeah, absolutely. I emailed the heads of World of Wonder when I got a whisper of Drag Race Down Under, the first season, and I said, I'm in Australia, I'm available, I love the show, I'd love to be involved, but the ball's in their court. So it appears as though Courtney has ruled out being on All Stars, but it's unclear why she has not yet appeared on Drag Race Down Under, even though she has expressed interest in it. One potential reason might be because Courtney has previously criticised RuPaul for his views on trans contestants, and she was eventually blocked on social media by RuPaul. So we'll have to wait and see if Courtney appears on any future episodes of Drag Race or Drag Race Down Under, but the reason that she hasn't been asked is unclear, but it might be because she's banned because of the comments she's previously made about RuPaul and the show. Sherry Pie. Sherry Pie competed on season 12 and made it to the final 4, but was disqualified from the competition when the show began airing. Sherry Pie is one of the contestants that is very much clearly banned from Drag Race because of what she did. A week after season 12 had begun airing, it was announced on the official Drag Race social media accounts that Sherry Pie had been disqualified because of recent developments and her statement from Facebook about the claim she sexually exploited several men. The show also explained that out of respect for the other contestants, they were going to air the show as normal, but they were going to limit showing Sherry Pie where possible, and also confirmed that Sherry would not be in the grand finale. Just to give you a brief overview of what Sherry Pie did for those of you who don't know, several male actors came forward and said that Joey, which is Sherry's name out of drag, had pretended to be a casting agent and coerced them into sending sexually suggestive videos of themselves under the guise of an audition. However, what they didn't know is that there was no actual job offer, and Sherry/Joey had been making up fake casting calls in order to get those men to send suggestive content of themselves to him. I'm not going to go through the full list of the allegations because some of them are quite dark. However, there is an article on Voss which details all the allegations, which I'll link to in the description so you can read more about it if you want to. Joey/Sherry posted an apology on social media on the same day as the disqualification, which many people didn't accept as they felt as though the apology was not genuine. After that, Sherry deleted her social media accounts and appeared to disappear from public life. However, there were reports that Sherry had been doing some live shows throughout 2020, which Sherry confirmed was true. Later, in February of 2021, Sherry/Joey appeared on the Tamron Hall show, where he talked about what he had done and said that he was sorry for his actions and that he was seeking professional help. And this interview drew a lot of backlash because people didn't think that Sherry/Joey should be given a platform to speak. And several of Sherry's victims had contacted the Tamron Hall show before the interview and asked them not to do the interview, but they did it anyway. Sherry seemingly reappeared on social media in April of 2022 and has been consistently posting photos on her Instagram account. Interestingly, most of the comments on the photos seem to be positive, so it's not clear whether the negative ones are being filtered out or deleted, or perhaps it's maybe because the comments have been limited. So it's unclear whether Sherry Pie will try and relaunch her career, but it is clear that she has been banned from Drag Race and is very unlikely to ever be asked back on the show. The Vixen. The Vixen competed on season 10 of Drag Race and placed 7th. The Vixen became a controversial queen on her season after having several feuds with other contestants including Aquaria and Eureka. And during the reunion episode for season 10, the Vixen was confronted by RuPaul and the others for her behaviour, and the Vixen walked off set and did not return. In an interview with Entertainment Tonight on the red carpet for season 10, the Vixen was asked if she would ever return for All Stars 4, which taped not long after season 10. However, the Vixen said that she was done and would not be returning. However, in an interview with Hornet in 2018, when asked about returning for an All-Stars season, the Vixen said, quote, "I think I need a little more time right now before I say I am ready to go back into the workroom. I would not rule it out though." And although no official ban has ever been given, it appears as though the Vixen may be less likely to be asked back on Drag Race because of the critical comments she has made about RuPaul. In an interview with Back From Reality podcast in 2020, the Vixen said that her and RuPaul had, quote, "no off-camera relationship." The Vixen followed this up by saying, quote, "I ran into her once at an elevator, it was a nod and she kept moving." The Vixen also criticised the show and said that they should be doing more to protect the queens who receive hate online, especially racially motivated backlash. And she also implied as though black queens on the show are often presented as, quote, "angry black girls." After her dramatic walkout during the season 10 reunion, the Vixen said that she refused to come back on set, and the producers insinuated as though she would be kicked out of her hotel room if she did not comply with them. And the Vixen also made comments about RuPaul himself, saying, quote, "Ru creates this platform, but when you look at the 40 white producers that accept an award with her, those are the people that she's really answering to." And she also said that RuPaul, quote, "doesn't see with empathy." In a different interview with In2, the Vixen said that when RuPaul asked her during the reunion whether she was stirring the pot to throw off the other queens, the Vixen said that she felt like she was talking to, quote, "a Reddit troll." And the Vixen also said that RuPaul's suggestion of staying quiet actually does more harm than good, and said that it's, quote, "a horrible message to people of colour." And World of Wonder was apparently contacted to respond to the Vixen's comments, but they declined to answer. So because of all these critical comments the Vixen has made about RuPaul and the show, it would be assumed that she is less than likely to be asked back on the show, but we'll have to wait and see. Tyra Sanchez. James William Ross IV, who used to go by the name Tyra Sanchez, competed in season 2 of Drag Race and was the winner. James was a slightly controversial winner at the time, with some people thinking that runner-up Raven should have won instead. And James actually retired from drag in March 2020. However, after several acts of controversial and threatening behaviour, it would appear that James has been banned from Drag Race. James competed on season 2 in 2010 and had appeared a few other times on Drag Race, such as in the first episode of season 8 in 2016, which was a photo shoot. James had always been quite outspoken on Twitter and had developed a slightly controversial reputation among fans. But it was really in 2016 that things started to go downhill for James. In August of 2016, a Twitter user made a critical remark about James, calling him annoying, and James responded by saying, quote, "Girl, kill yourself," which drew a huge amount of backlash from people online. James refused to apologise for the comment, and many users said that suicide is high among LGBT+ youths, so you shouldn't joke about killing yourself. James responded by saying, quote, "I have no sympathy for people that commit suicide. They're cowards. They give up and give in. Stop tweeting me about it." After this incident, several petitions were started to remove Tyra as the winner of season 2 and crown Raven instead, which received thousands of signatures. RuPaul didn't comment on this for a while, but eventually on his podcast defended James and said, quote, "People don't get nuance on Twitter, you can't do irony on Twitter, people won't get it." Then, in 2017, James drew even more controversy when he posted a fake obituary for fellow season 2 contestant Morgan McMichaels, joking that Morgan was dead even though she wasn't. Apparently, the reason for this is because James had made a few critical comments about Raven on social media, but both James and Raven were booked to do a Morgan McMichael's birthday show shortly afterward. Apparently, Morgan tried to pull out of the show, presumably because she didn't want to work with James, but the management decided to let James go instead, which is why James was angry at Morgan. Later in a Facebook post, Morgan explained the situation and said, quote, "Tyra, you are welcome to come back into the fray when you grow the F up. I didn't want to work with you because you're poisonous, you're vicious." But the real drama then happened in 2018 when James was banned from attending DragCon. Prior to this, James had made a video online where he made threats of violence against Season 2 contestant Tatiana and Season 4 contestant Fifi O'Hara because of an ongoing feud they had been having. Fifi shared James's threatening video and tagged DragCon saying, quote, "This isn't how any decent human acts. This is someone unstable and needs help. At RuPaul's DragCon, she shouldn't be allowed to attend." Shortly after, James posted a screenshot of an email he had received from World of Wonder, which said that James wouldn't be allowed to come to DragCon unless he made an apology. James said that he had already apologised previously and he would not be apologising again. Then, shortly before DragCon started, James posted on Facebook saying, quote, "Fair warning, do not attend RuPaul's DragCon on May 12, 2018. Don't say I didn't warn you." And on James's official website, there was a countdown to DragCon with the acronym BOOM at the top of the page, which many users interpreted as a bomb threat against DragCon. Several users reported James to the FBI. However, it appears as though no charges were brought against James because nothing happened at DragCon and it was clearly just a bad joke. James has since apologised for his behaviour, and it seems as though many fans didn't accept his apology, and James officially retired from drag in 2020. In September of 2022, James announced on social media that he would be returning under the name King Tyra and linked to an OnlyFans account. So it's unclear whether James will be returning to drag. However, from his past behaviour and the ban from DragCon in 2018, it seems that James is not likely to be competing on any future seasons of Drag Race again and is probably banned. Hello everyone and welcome back for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets and drama. Today we're going to be discussing queens on Drag Race who, in my opinion, were robbed of a main challenge win. I was inspired to make this video because a TikTok video I posted about this a while back got a big response, and it seemed like lots of people had strong opinions on this subject, so I thought I'd make a full video about it. This video will include queens such as Jaden Dior Fierce, Utica, and Mo Hart, among others. All that and more coming up in today's video, so let's get started. Jaden Dior Fierce in the Parody Challenge. Jaden Dior Fierce competed on Season 7 of Drag Race US and placed 8th. Personally, when I think of queens who were robbed of a main challenge win, Jaden is one of the first queens that comes to my mind. In episode 4 of Season 7, which was called Spoof There It Is, the queens were tasked with splitting into groups and performing a parody version of a RuPaul's song. Jaden was in a group with Max and Violet Chachki, and they performed the video Get Ready to Clock, which was a spoof of the video for Sissy That Walk, featuring the top 3 of Season 6, namely Bianca Del Rio, Courtney Act and Adore Delano. Jaden portrayed Bianca Del Rio, and I think she absolutely killed the performance. She got the mannerisms of Bianca just right, as well as the voice and the facial expressions, and it was all just really funny.
I hope you trip. I hope you fall. Dry. Uh-oh. Need help packing? Beat it, queen.
And the other reason I think Jaden was robbed of this win is because it was a really unexpected performance, because Jaden has struggled with her confidence throughout her time on the show. And at the start of the episode, Jaden was struggling during the recording, but she managed to push through it, and seeing her find her confidence was just a really heartwarming moment in her storyline. Ultimately, the win that episode went to Kennedy Davenport for the I Got Paid video. And I did really like Kennedy's performance in the video, and she definitely deserved her high placement. And I guess Kennedy's runway was arguably a bit more polished than Jaden's. But I think that Jaden just really knocked it out of the park with her performance and should have won that episode, in my opinion. And it also would have made a really lovely moment for her storyline and her progression in the competition. Anastasia Anakwe in the Design Challenge. Anastasia Anakwe competed on season 1 of Canada's Drag Race and placed 10th. I really liked Anastasia on her season, and I definitely feel like she left too soon. I think, similar to Jaden Dior-Fierce, Anastasia lacked some confidence, and this unfortunately affected her run on the show. The episode I felt like Anastasia was robbed of a main challenge win was the episode 1 Design Challenge. In the episode, each queen was assigned a themed box filled with random materials, and the queens had to create a look using these materials. Anastasia was assigned the Canada Gay box, which was full of lots of red materials, and I thought the look she created was really cool. Although it was quite simple, it looked really well made, and I imagine that quilted fabric she used for the cape is not easy to work with. It also just looked really well constructed overall and perfectly fit the brief in my opinion. Anastasia placed safe that episode, and the win ultimately went to Rita Baga for her Quebec Foire look. Although I did really like Rita's outfit and I thought she sold it well on the runway, I think her outfit looked good with the top piece, but when she took that off, the blue dress underneath looked quite simple and was maybe not as elaborate as Anastasia's outfit or some of the other outfits such as Jimbo's. And similar to Jaden, I think that if Anastasia had won this episode or at least placed higher than safe, it would have really helped with her confidence because she really did deserve a higher placement than just safe for this outfit in my opinion. Trinity K. Bonet in the halftime show. Trinity K. Bonet competed on season 6 as well as All Stars 6, where she placed 7th and 5th respectively. The episode where I feel Trinity was robbed of a main challenge win was the episode 4 of All Stars 6, which was titled Halftime Headliners. In the episode, each queen had to impersonate their favourite diva and perform a halftime show to a RuPaul song in the style of that diva. Trinity impersonated Beyonce, and I think she absolutely smashed it out of the park. She not only looked like Beyonce, but she also nailed the choreography and really gave the essence of Beyonce, which is not easy to do. And I think this performance was even more special for Trinity because in season 6, she had said that she wanted to perform as Beyonce, and some of the queens, such as Bianca, expressed doubts and said that it's not really possible to do that. And then Trinity really proved her talent and showed that she can do an incredible impersonation of Beyonce. And Bianca even tweeted at the time saying, "I stand corrected." Ultimately, Trinity placed high that week, but the win went to Jan for her performance as Lady Gaga. And I think that Jan was amazing as Lady Gaga, and she also did a really good job in the performance. And I can kind of see why Jan got the win, because not only did she do an amazing job, but she also had this storyline throughout her seasons of always coming close but never actually winning a challenge. So I don't want to take anything away from Jan because she is incredibly talented and she definitely deserved that win. And in fact, I think that Jan should have actually been in the top 2 for the episode 1 talent show on All Stars 6 because she delivered amazing vocals which I think were really underappreciated. But I think in the halftime show challenge, Trinity really pulled it out of the bag and therefore ultimately, in my opinion, deserved the win. Utica in the bag ball. Utica Queen, otherwise known as just Utica, competed on season 13 of Drag Race US and placed 6th. I really liked Utica on her season and I thought her quirky style was really refreshing. I think the bag ball in episode 5 was iconic for many reasons, not just because of La Rie's bag look or the fight in Untucked between Tamisha and Candy, but also many people in the comments of my TikTok video agreed that Utica was robbed of a win in this episode. In the episode, the queens were tasked to serve 3 looks that were all bag themed, and for the final category they had to make a look from scratch entirely out of different kinds of bags. Utica made this incredible gown out of a sleeping bag, which I love so much, and I think it will go down in Drag Race history as one of the best design challenge looks ever. It not only looked great, but it also fit so well and was so tailored. and I imagine that it must have been really difficult to create a look out of sleeping bag material. Ultimately, Utica placed high that week, but the win went to Gottmik. And I did really like Gottmik's outfit, and it came across as being very modern and quite editorial, but to me, Utica's look was just so well tailored and well made and intricate, which is why I thought that she deserved the win in that episode. And while we're on the subject, I have mentioned this in a previous video, but just as some bonus tea, Candy Muse once spilled some backstage gossip during an interview and revealed that during the bag ball, the art department came into the workroom to clean up, and they apparently thought that Gottmik's outfit was scraps, so they threw it in the trash, and Gottmik had to go and get it out of the trash. Anyway, back to the episode. I think Gottmik probably won that episode overall because her other two outfits in the ball were perhaps slightly more elevated than Utica's, and they were also slightly more cohesive. I know Drag Race doesn't necessarily have a formula for how to judge the episodes, but in my opinion, I think the self-made outfits should be worth something like 70% of the mark, and the other outfits should make up the remaining 30%. And to me, Utica's self-made outfit was just so good that I think it should have tipped her into the winning spot. Anita Wiglet in the Girl Group Challenge. Anita Wiglet competed on Drag Race Down Under Season 1 and placed 8th. And she's also currently competing on Canada vs the World, which is still going at the time of this recording. I really liked Anita on her season, and I definitely think she left too soon. I actually interviewed her on my channel a while back, and she was just as lovely and sweet as she came across on TV. The episode where I think Anita was robbed of a main challenge win was in the episode 3 Girl Group Challenge on Drag Race Down Under. The queens were split into two girl groups and had to write and perform their own verses to the song Queens Down Under, which, by the way, is such a catchy and great song. Anita was in the group called the Outback Fake Hoes with Coco Jumbo, etc., and Scarlett Adams. Anita placed high that week and Scarlett ultimately took the win. The reason I think Anita deserved the win in that episode is because her verse was just so funny and it really made me laugh. Her lyrics were witty and actually told us a lot about her campy personality, and she even referenced her previous win from the Snatch Game episode as Queen Elizabeth by saying, "My dry ass pee is serving you gran." And she lifted up her dress to show a photo of a cat on her underwear. And I just thought this was just so funny, and it was a really clever extra detail that showed that she had really thought about how to make herself stand out within the group. And Anita's performance was also the only one that made RuPaul really laugh. I also really liked that Anita clearly is not the best dancer, but she still managed to sell the performance on stage and looked really good while doing the choreography, even if she messed up a little bit. Based on the judges' critiques, I think Scarlett probably won because she created most of the choreography for their group, and the judges really liked Scarlett's performance and her looks. But in my opinion, Anita really deserved the win that week because her verse was just so funny, and I also really enjoyed her Bogan Prom realness runway as well. It might have also been a factor in it that Anita had won the previous episode for her amazing performance in Snatch Game as Queen Elizabeth, so perhaps the judges didn't want to give her a win 2 weeks in a row, but that could just be a coincidence. Mo Hart in the Design Challenge. Mo Hart, who was formerly known as Monique Hart, competed on Season 10, All Stars 4 and UK vs the World, where she placed 6th, 3rd and runner-up respectively. Mo Hart was another queen who came up multiple times in the comments of my TikTok video, and I definitely agree that she was robbed of a main challenge win. The win I'm referring to is in Season 10, Episode 1 challenge, which was Drag on a Dime. This was a design challenge where the queens were tasked with creating an outfit using random items from the 99-cent store. Mo created this incredible Queen of Hearts look using playing cards as well as no trespassing signs, which she cut up to make hair. It looked absolutely amazing, and the silhouette she managed to achieve was just so incredible, and to me it looked so good that I would have thought that this was an outfit that she brought with her. Mo ultimately placed safe that week, and the win went to Mayhem Miller. I did really enjoy Mayhem's look, and it was very chic and high fashion, so Mayhem definitely deserved a high placement. But to me, Mo's look was just a little bit more elaborate and intricate overall, and there were just so many pieces to her outfit. So I really appreciated all of the little details and the amount of work that it must have taken to create such a stunning outfit. Hello everyone, and welcome back for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets and drama. We all know that reality TV is heavily produced, and as Tatiana said, what you see isn't always the truth. And you all seem to love my previous videos where I exposed some backstage Drag Race production secrets, so I'm back with some more juicy secrets for you all. Today we're going to be talking about fake judges' reactions, breaking boats, and hiding contestants. All that and more coming up in today's video, so let's get started. Fake songwriting. One of the most standard challenges on Drag Race is that in the final episodes, the queens usually have to write and record their own verses to one of RuPaul's songs. And although it should be pretty obvious that a lot of post-production work is involved to create these verses, it may surprise you to know how long it takes. Art Simone, who competed on Drag Race Down Under Season 1, recently shared some interesting behind-the-scenes tea about the finale verses on Drag Race. On her Drag Race review show, Kick-Ons, Art said that the queens have to write and record their verses several days, maybe even weeks before the finale. And it all has to be sent to RuPaul's producer because he's the only one who RuPaul trusts to work on his music. So this means that when they show the queens sitting down in the episodes and listening to the tracks and writing their lyrics, this is all fake, and the queens have in fact already written and recorded their tracks a long time before. Art also said that because the queens record it so far in advance, some queens write and record their tracks, but they don't end up making it to the finale because they get eliminated the next episode before the finale, so their tracks are never used. And this has been supported by other queens. For example, Tatiana said that she did write a verse for the song Red You Wrote You for the All Stars 2 finale. But because Tatiana didn't make it to the finale, her verse was not used. And so Tatiana actually ended up using the lyrics for one of her songs on her own album so that the lyrics wouldn't go to waste. Breaking a boat. There have been some very unusual challenges on Drag Race over the years, and so it's probably no surprise that there have also been some behind-the-scenes mishaps as well. Well, Latrice Royale once spilled some interesting tea about the infamous boat challenge on Season 4. You may remember that in episode 6, each queen was assigned a colour of the pride flag and had to decorate a parade boat in that colour. Well, Latrice Royale once spilled some very interesting backstage tea about this challenge during a podcast episode with Joey Nolfi of Entertainment Weekly. Latrice said that the producers brought in the boats for everyone, but they were all made to be the same size. But Latrice said that her boat didn't fit, and she said to the producers, quote, "I can't squeeze up in this, not with my body on, I put on padding." And so production had to take her boat away, and they had to break the boat up and rebuild it to be bigger. And this meant that while all of the other queens were decorating their boat, Latrice was just sitting there not able to do anything. Latrice then said that because she wasn't able to work on her boat while it was being rebuilt, production said that she could come in early the next day to work on her boat so that she could catch up. And Latrice described this as, quote, drama. Using Michelle's private bathroom. We've heard many stories over the years that the queens spend a long time filming and are often not allowed to go to the bathroom until filming has finished. And in fact, I have talked about this in previous videos, but queens such as Sasha Colby have previously admitted that they peed themselves on the main stage while filming. But what you may not know is that one queen once got to use a special private toilet that was just for one of the judges. In an interview on Maddie Morphosis' YouTube channel, Lawrence Chaney from Drag Race UK Season 2 said that she once got to use Michelle Visage's private toilet. Lawrence explained that during episode 4, the runway theme was Monster Mashup and Lawrence was wearing a skin costume. Apparently, Lawrence knew that because the outfit was so difficult to get on, she couldn't get out of it to go to the bathroom, so she decided just to hold it in. However, the main stage critiques and the lip sync take around 3 hours or more to film, and by the end, Lawrence was desperate for the toilet. Also, that episode was the episode when Ginny Lemon unexpectedly walked out during the lip sync and quit the competition. And because this was unplanned, no one from production was there to greet Ginny when she walked off stage, and so she was apparently walking around backstage and production didn't know where she was. And this meant that all of the other queens, including Lawrence, were being held in a different room while producers were dealing with Ginny. Apparently, Lawrence said to one of the PAs that she needed to go to the bathroom urgently, but the PA said that they couldn't go until they were allowed to leave. And Lawrence apparently squatted and nearly peed and pooped herself and said that she needed to go to the toilet right away. Lawrence said that the PA grabbed her by the hand, and because there wasn't enough time to get to the Queen's toilets, they went to these toilets that were very fancy and close by. Lawrence at first thought that it was RuPaul's toilet because they were so fancy, but she later found out that it was actually the toilet for Michelle Visage or the guest judge. And just as some bonus tea, Lawrence also admitted in the same interview that she felt sorry for the crew while filming her season because Lawrence admitted that she was apparently, quote, quite difficult and was not very easy to deal with. And Lawrence shared a story that in the first episode, Lawrence kept talking even though they were supposed to be on what's called hard ice, which means that the queens aren't allowed to talk when the cameras aren't rolling. But Lawrence wasn't taking it seriously and just kept talking. And a PA kept asking Lawrence to stop talking, but Lawrence just laughed and said, quote, "Oh, but this is just fun, isn't it?" But the producer apparently replied and said, quote, "This isn't fun, this is your job. I'm a member of staff here, don't argue back." And Lawrence said that she was, quote, gagged because she had rightfully been told off. And then later that day, the PA said that they were ordering Nando's for dinner and they asked the queens what they wanted from the menu. And when the PA asked what Lawrence wanted, Lawrence just said, quote, "I dunno, I'm on ice," and she wouldn't talk to the PA. And Lawrence joked that she didn't end up eating that night because she was being so petty and wouldn't speak to the PA. Hiding contestants. It's common knowledge by now that the contestants on Drag Race are not allowed to tell anyone that they are going to film the show. And once they arrive, the contestants are kept in their hotel rooms and are not allowed to leave or talk to anyone off camera. And they are also monitored by production staff, and this is to ensure that any drama or arguments get caught on camera. But there have been several times that queens have been hidden from other queens in order to stop their appearance on the show from being spoiled. For example, you may remember that on season 14 of Drag Race US, there was a split premiere over 2 episodes. And one queen was eliminated in each episode, but they were later brought back to the competition, namely Dia Betty and Orion Story. Well, Orion Story once spilled in an interview with Pressed Conference that she knew that she was going to be brought back and that the producers hid her from the other contestants. Orion was asked if she had to go all the way back home after filming her elimination, and Orion said she knew that she wasn't really going to be eliminated because they hadn't introduced the whole cast yet. But apparently when she was eliminated, the production assistants were really hamming it up and asking her if she was okay and whether she was disappointed to be eliminated first. But Orion told them that she knew that she wasn't really going to be eliminated, although the PAs completely denied knowing anything about it. And so Orion then had to film the part in the workroom where she was packing her suitcases and then got in the car to drive away. But then production told her that she was actually being kept in the competition and was coming back. Orion said she turned to the PA and said, quote, "I effing knew it." And the PA admitted that they knew the whole time and they just had to lie. Orion also said that all of the queen's rooms are on one floor of the hotel, but after her elimination, Orion was moved up to a different floor of the hotel so that no one would see that she had come back. And Orion had to stay there for 5 days until she was brought back to the competition in episode 3, because they film about 2 episodes per week, Monday through Friday, and then they have the weekends off in their hotel rooms. Orion was also apparently given a sewing machine to use in her hotel room during that time, which Orion admitted that she ended up stealing. Fake judges' reactions. The judges are an integral part of Drag Race, and that includes not only the regular judges like RuPaul and Michelle, but also all of the guest judges. And with so many judges and different people coming and going, you can imagine that there is a lot of work that needs to be done to make sure the judges look camera ready. However, what you may not know is that often the judges' reactions and comments are not as real as they appear, and they are often filmed at different times to the actual runway. For example, Art Simone from Drag Race Down Under shared on her show Kick-Ons that on her season, for the talent show in episode 7, the contestants had to film their talent show numbers really early in the morning for some reason. But because it was so early, the judges, namely RuPaul, Michelle and Reese Nicholson, hadn't had time to go and have their hair and makeup done yet. So according to Art, while they were filming their talent show numbers, the judges were sitting there, but they were in their dressing gowns and none of them were in drag or in hair and makeup. And so later on, once the judges had had hair and makeup done, the judges had to go back to the main stage and film fake reaction shots that they then interspersed into the talent show to make it look like it was all filmed at the same time, even though they were actually filmed at totally different times. And other queens have also said similar things to back this up. For example, when I interviewed Coco Jumbo, also from Drag Race Down Under Season 1, she said that production lost the audio of her lip sync against Art Simone, and they had to refilm the whole thing days later. And they also had to refilm the judges' reactions and comments several days after the original runway. I'll put a link in the description to the full clip of Coco talking about this, and make sure you check it out because it was really interesting. Edited out inappropriate jokes. We all know that humour is a big part of Drag Race, and a lot of the queens have delivered some amazing jokes over the years on the show. But it's also true that drag queens can sometimes have quite an unfiltered sense of humour, which doesn't always go down well and ends up being cut out of the episode. One example of this comes from Katya on Season 7. Katya once admitted in a review video on her YouTube channel that she made an inappropriate joke on the main stage and they edited it out. It was during episode 6 where the main challenge was the Ru Hollywood stories and the runway theme was Death Becomes Her. Katya won that episode and said that she was, quote, completely caught off guard. And apparently RuPaul asked Katya how she felt winning the challenge, and Katya made a joke and said, quote, well, it was a long battle with leukemia, but at least I was surrounded by friends and family. And apparently the joke completely fell flat and no one laughed, and no one was looking at Katya, presumably because they all felt really awkward, and so that joke was cut out of the episode. We've also heard similar things from other contestants too. For example, Evie Oddly, who was the winner of season 11, when she was filming her winning speech at the finale, Evie originally made a joke and said, quote, go eat a baby. And this was apparently a running joke that Evie had said throughout the season. But apparently RuPaul and the producers didn't laugh and thought it sounded inappropriate, so they made her refilm her winning speech and instead she said, quote, let your freak frag fly. Why RuPaul can't host Canada's Drag Race. RuPaul has been hosting Drag Race since it first started in 2009, and he and Michelle have hosted not only Drag Race US, but also Drag Race UK and Drag Race Down Under. And so some people were curious as to why RuPaul and Michelle don't host Canada's Drag Race, which is the other English-speaking franchise that RuPaul and Michelle do not host. And although there has never been an official reason given as to why RuPaul doesn't host Canada's Drag Race, there are a few theories that seem to be pretty believable. The first theory is that when Canada's Drag Race first started being filmed, sometime in late 2019, RuPaul was busy filming her show, AJ and the Queen, which was being filmed around the same time. The other theory, though, is a bit more interesting, which is that there is a rule in Canada which limits non-Canadians from being involved in Canadian TV shows. There is a rule in Canadian TV and radio called Canadian content, which is also known as CanCon. And the rule states that, quote, radio and television broadcasters, including cable and satellite specialty channels, must produce and/or broadcast a certain percentage of content that was at least partially written, produced, presented, or otherwise contributed to by persons from Canada. The rule also means that Canadian productions get more financial funding if they are hosted by Canadians. And so that may be why Brooklyn Heights was chosen to be the host, because she is originally from Canada. Fake green screen messages. Drag Race is no stranger to a green screen, and they are often used during acting challenges so that they can superimpose the queens onto different backgrounds. And there were even rumours that RuPaul was not really there in person for Drag Race Down Under Season 1 and that he was green screened in. However, this rumour was debunked by several contestants such as Coco Jumbo when I interviewed her. And they even joked about this on the second season of Drag Race Down Under when RuPaul slapped Spanky Jackson to prove that he was really there in person. However, some queens have admitted that there were some green screen moments on Drag Race that were actually fake and that they were put in by production. For example, you may remember on Drag Race US Season 14, Jennifer Lopez made a guest appearance during episode 4 because the runway theme that week was Night of 1,000 JLos. However, Season 14 contestant Bosco once revealed at a Roscoe's viewing party that they didn't actually see JLo on screen and it was just a green screen. But the producers read out what JLo had said, and the queens had to react to what she was saying, even though they never actually saw the real footage until later. And Trinity the Tuck, who was also at the same Roscoe's viewing party, said that the same thing happened on All Stars 7 when they had Kennedy Davenport's video message for the roast episode. And all the contestants saw was a green screen, and they didn't actually see Kennedy's video at all. And Trinity joked that that's why all the queens looked confused when that moment happened, because all they could see was an empty green screen. Something similar also happened on Drag Race UK Season 2, which famously got shut down partway through the season due to the COVID-19 pandemic which had just started. And the contestants have admitted that the video message that we saw of RuPaul was clearly filmed afterwards. And in real life, what happened was that the contestants were called over to the TV screen and they had to pretend that they were watching a real video message. And then one of the production staff came out and read out what the video message was going to be and then told them all that the production was going to shut down. But then they added in RuPaul's video message in post-production. Hello and welcome to another video. So, there have been over 150 contestants on RuPaul's Drag Race since it debuted in 2009. The drag world is kinda small, so it's hardly surprising that some of the Drag Race contestants have hooked up, which is known as a kai-kai. So, here are some RuPaul's Drag Race queens who have kai-kai'd that you may not have known about. Bob the Drag Queen and Ms. Cracker. Bob the Drag Queen competed on Season 8 and won. Ms. Cracker competed on Season 10 and All Stars 5, placing 5th and runner-up respectively. Bob was actually the one who put Ms. Cracker in drag for the first time as part of a marriage equality march, and Bob is also Ms. Cracker's drag mother. But what you may not know is that these queens actually hooked up before either of them appeared on Drag Race. In an interview, Bob described how he met Ms. Cracker on the streets in New York. Bob was apparently trying to carry a broken bookcase back to his apartment that he saw on the street that he liked, and then this tiny little guy came up to him and asked if he needed help. Bob said that the two of them managed to get the bookcase back to his apartment, and then he said, "And then we effed." That tiny little guy that he saw on the street was actually Miss Cracker, and it was before Miss Cracker ever started doing drag, and the two of them hooked up a few more times and have been doing drag together for a long time. And the two of them have remained good friends over the years. Jinx Monsoon and Magnolia Crawford. Jinx Monsoon competed on Season 5 and won. Magnolia Crawford competed on Season 6 and was the first queen to be eliminated in her group. In an interview, Jinx once said that she met Magnolia in Seattle many years ago before either of them was on Drag Race. At the time, Jinx hadn't fully embraced being a drag queen, so she didn't tell anybody, and Magnolia was also on a hiatus from drag at the time. Jinx said that they ended up sleeping together on their second date, and the sex was great. Later, Jinx went on to win season 5 of RuPaul's Drag Race, and then heard that Magnolia was going to be on season 6. Jinx said that when she heard Magnolia was going to be on season 6, she was excited because she could tell everyone that she had hooked up with a Ru girl. However, she then joked that when she actually saw Magnolia's episode, she decided not to tell anybody, basically making a joke about Magnolia's early elimination. Magnolia's real name is Reynolds Engelhardt, and he retired from drag after the show and sees drag as more of a hobby now. Derek Barry and Chanel. Derek competed on season 8 and All Stars 5, placing 5th and 10th respectively. Chanel competed on season 1 and All Stars 1, placing 4th and 3rd respectively. Both of them have confirmed in interviews that they had a brief relationship for around 6 months when Derek first moved to Las Vegas. Chanel said that she even painted Derek's first apartment in Las Vegas because she loves interior design and Derek's apartment was really dull and boring. Derek said that Chanel was not really very supportive of her doing drag outside of Britney Spears impersonation, and Chanel didn't think that Derek was at the same level as her, which ultimately led to their breakup. Derek also said that she doesn't think it's a good idea for drag queens to date because it causes too much tension, which is kind of ironic, and you will find out why now. Derek Barry and Nebraska. Nebraska was a guest on the Season 5 Makeover Challenge and was paired with Alaska, hence the name. The task was to put military veterans into drag, and Nebraska, who was the military veteran, continued to do drag after the show. Nebraska has been in a throuple, or three-way relationship, with Derek Barry and Nick San Pedro for 8 years. Derek had been in a relationship with Nick, who's a painter, not a drag queen, for about 7 years before they met Nebraska and then became a throuple. The three of them have been very supportive about their polyamorous relationship and have, quote, 0 regrets. Tace and Ahura. Tace competed on season 2 of Drag Race UK and placed runner-up. Ahura also competed on season 2 of Drag Race UK and placed 5th. While they were both on the show, they hinted heavily that they had hooked up with each other at some point in the past. They also mentioned on the show that they had moved in together during the lockdown, which further fueled rumours that they were in some kind of relationship. Ahura has admitted that they, quote, amped up their relationship on the show because they knew it would make good TV and it would get them more airtime. However, it appears that the two of them are just friends now, but from what it sounds like, they probably at some point in the past most likely hooked up. Manila Luzon and Sahara Davenport. Manila Luzon competed on season 3, All Stars 1 and All Stars 4, placing 2nd, 7th and 6th respectively. Sahara Davenport competed on season 2 and placed 7th. The two of them were in a relationship until Sahara sadly passed away due to heart failure in 2012. Manila led the tribute to Sahara's life and said she wanted to carry on her legacy. Manila has luckily now found happiness and she got married to her long-term boyfriend Michael in 2017. Bob the Drag Queen and Alexis Michelle. Alexis Michelle competed on season 9 and placed 5th. It's been confirmed that Alexis once went on a date with the season 8 winner, Bob the Drag Queen. On the date, they apparently ended up watching each other's audition tapes for Drag Race. Sharon Needles and Alaska. Sharon Needles competed on season 4 and won. Alaska competed on season 5 and All Stars 2, placing runner-up and winner respectively. It's very common knowledge that the two of them dated for around 4 years and broke up in 2013. They were still dating when both of them competed on their respective seasons of Drag Race. Alaska has since said that their relationship was tumultuous at times, and that Alaska was really jealous when Sharon got cast on Drag Race before her. However, the two of them have remained friends over the years, and they seem to be on very good terms now. Hello everyone, and welcome back to some more Drag Race gossip, secrets and drama. Today I thought I'd do something a bit different and do a kind of deeper dive into one particular topic. Today I'm going to be delving into the drama involving the agency called Voss Events, who manage several of the Drag Race queens. There seems to be a lot of little known drama about this subject, so let's get into it. Who are Voss Events? So there has been quite a lot of drama between several Drag Race queens and the agency called Voss Events, but it hasn't been widely talked about or reported on. For those of you who don't know, Voss Events is a multidisciplinary creative agency that was founded by a man called Brandon Voss, who is a nightclub entrepreneur and party promoter. Voss Events is the agency that manages many of the Drag Race queens such as Aquaria, Asia O'Hara, Jada Essence Hall, Vanessa Vanjie Mateo, Rosé and Kimchi among many others. And Voss Events are quite closely connected to the Drag Race franchise. For example, according to an article by Forbes, Voss Events was first hired in 2009 to produce the crowning event for the first season of RuPaul's Drag Race. And even though the show's prize package was initially very limited due to the show's budget, a publicity contract with Voss Events was worked into the contract to benefit the winning queen. And Voss Events has continued to produce a lot of the shows for Drag Race. Most notably the Work the World Tour, which is an ongoing tour that features Drag Race queens in collaboration with VH1 and World of Wonder. But over the years, Voss Events has been the centre of a lot of controversy, which I'll go into now. Cornbread's beef with Voss Events. So many of the queens from recent seasons of Drag Race are signed with Voss Events, and we can tell that by looking at their Instagram and seeing that their contact email address for bookings is someone at Voss Events. And we can also see a list of queens that they represent on the Voss Events website. However, there seems to be a lot of drama and accusations of bad behaviour on the part of Voss Events, which have been made by a few of the Drag Race contestants. For example, Cornbread, who appeared on season 14, is one of the only queens from season 14 who is not signed with Voss Events and never has been. In April of 2022, Cornbread tweeted saying, quote, "Wake up every day thankful I'm practically representing myself and my best interest for my career. Feels good to know I'm not being cheated. Anywho, make sure you'll monitor your money, smiley face, and save," and then emojis of purses. And then fellow season 14 contestant Kerry Colby responded to Cornbread's tweet saying, quote, "Wish I could relate." And it's assumed that Kerry is implying as though she would rather not be signed with Voss Events. Cornbread also once retweeted one of Kennedy Davenport's tweets, where Kennedy announced that she had a residency with Drag Race Live, which is managed by Voss Events. Cornbread retweeted Kennedy's tweet and said, quote, "I'm only sharing this because this is the smartest decision ever. This show's about to be insane. I'm so happy for Kennedy. I said it would be a cold day on hell before I promoted anything with that man's name on it, but baby, anything for this diva." And it's assumed that when Cornbread said, quote, "anything with that man's name on it," Cornbread was referring to Brandon Voss, who is the founder of Voss Events. Brandon has been accused of bad behaviour in the past, but I'll go into that in more detail later. And it appears that Kerry Colby has since left Voss Events. In a post on Twitter, Kerry said, quote, "For any bookings or business inquiries, please reach out to Jackie at fiercelyouentertainment.com. Thank you." And Cornbread shared Kerry's tweet with a gif that says, quote, "Another one, thank you," implying that another Drag Race queen has left Voss Events. Cornbread also once tweeted saying, quote, "Relay the message to y'all homie over there at Voss. Watch your mouth, sis. I'm not the one." There have also been rumours that the reason Cornbread was not invited back for season 15 or All Stars is because of the comments she has made about Voss Events. Although I should mention that this is just a rumour and has never been substantiated. For example, in March of 2022, Cornbread tweeted saying, quote, "My run on season 14 was nothing short of amazing. Unfortunately, I will not be returning to season 15 of RuPaul's Drag Race. Great things ahead. I love and appreciate you all for the support. Let's make magic." And she then followed this up by saying, quote, "And no, I'm not on anybody's All-Stars. Wasn't my decision, smiley face." So from that last part of the tweet, it is implied as though Cornbread was not invited to be on any future seasons of Drag Race. I also found multiple comments online saying that other season 14 queens were subtly shading Voss events by not following them on Instagram, such as Willow Pill and Bosco. However, this of course could just be a coincidence. Strict contracts. One of the other issues that Voss Events has been accused of is restricting contestants by making them sign very strict contracts. This topic was further talked about by the hosts of the Race Chaser podcast, Season 4 contestant Willem and Season 5 and All-Stars 2 contestant Alaska. The two of them were asked during a viewing party at Roscoe's about the strict contracts that the Drag Race queens have to sign. Willem started by saying that she and Alaska tried to book one of the pit crew members for their podcast, but World of Wonder said no. Alaska then went on to say that the newer queens are required to sign with a particular agency. It's assumed that the agency she was referring to is Voss Events, because that's the agency that pretty much all the season 14 queens are signed with. Alaska then followed this up by saying, quote, "They're not allowed to do their own tours. They're not allowed to do music unless it's approved. I think that hurts all of us. Let them put out an effing music video if they want to." Alaska also added that she can't imagine being on such a, quote, "tight leash," and then joked that the queens definitely aren't allowed to be on their podcast, which implies as though Alaska and Willem have asked queens to be on their podcast, but they were contractually not allowed. Willem then responded to this by saying, quote, "Did you hear about that song that Rosé put out and got taken down hours later?" This is referring to season 13 contestant Rosé, who posted on her Instagram in March of 2022 saying, quote, "At the Only Alaska 5000 is almost kinda like a photographer. Girls' night, music emoji, coming, ... sometime in 2022. Willem also alleged that the season 14 cast has a price list which is based on where they placed in the season. And the reason why this may cause issues is because it means that contestants who placed lower in the season would technically earn less than someone who placed higher in the season, even if they have a larger fan base. Mistreatment of queens. It's also been implied that the reason a lot of the queens don't like working with Voss Events is because they've apparently mistreated some of the queens. For example, a Twitter user shared a screenshot of an Instagram story from Vanessa Vanjie Mateo. The Instagram story is a photo of an outdoor drag event where it appears to have been heavily snowing. The user is thanking the queens for the show, saying that they were, quote, "worth the cold weather." The Twitter user who shared this Instagram story said, quote, "Imagine sending queens out on a stage to perform in nothing but high heels and a corset in this weather, ... Voss Events can relate." There were also similar tweets about unsafe working conditions at shows, for example this one saying that Vanessa Vanjie Mateo hurt herself during a show because it was raining and she slipped. And other queens have alleged that Voss forces the queens to charge a lot of money for meet and greets. For example, on Twitter, this user said, quote, "No, I literally hate Voss. We didn't even get to talk to the queens during our meet and greet, and they took one photo for almost $300. There are also rumours that Season 5 and All-Stars 2 contestant Detox alleged that the queens were forced to stay in Asia to complete the tour that they were doing there for Voss Events, even though it was during the period where COVID-19 was spreading widely throughout Asia and the queens felt unsafe. And of course, a lot of this is unsubstantiated and could just be rumours, but given what Alaska and Willem said, it does seem that Voss Events doesn't have a very good reputation among the Drag Race queens as well as the fan base. Voss Events lawsuit. While I was doing research on Voss Events, I also found that there is an ongoing lawsuit against Voss Events, which was made by Chancellor Dane Benson, who is a dancer/choreographer who claims that he was fired by Voss Events. The lawsuit was filed in August of 2020, and the case is a civil right employment discrimination lawsuit, and the outcome of the lawsuit is still pending according to the website Unicourt. The only information I could find about the lawsuit is from an article by Inner City Press. In the article, it states that Benson was a choreographer and then creative director for Voss events. It also states that Brandon Voss, the founder of Voss events, used, quote, racial slurs as well as other racist language. And apparently, another Voss events employee named John Norris would, quote, also routinely grope Mr. Benson. According to the complaint, quote, Mr. Voss and Mr. Norris made it seem that their actions were permissible because many of the cast are gay and that gay men are entitled to take such liberties with each other. And apparently there was a text message that Brandon Voss sent to Benson that said, quote, reading through that book of lies is embarrassing for you. Your lawyer has a duty to fact check things before filing a frivolous lawsuit, which she didn't do. You were let go because you are an awful leader. Every dancer and artist on that tour demanded we get rid of you, ... All of them would be happy to tell anybody the problems you cause. And as I said before, the case is still ongoing and I couldn't find much information on the exact specifics of the case, so I can't guarantee the validity of any of this information.
She's definitely getting clocked. Questionable. I am grieving the loss of my old account. It's obviously very upsetting.
Hello everyone and welcome back for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets and drama. Social media is well known for being where a lot of drama happens between the Drag Race queens. And it's probably no surprise that some queens have had problems on social media over the years and their accounts have been banned as a result. So today we're going to be looking at 6 Drag Race queens who have been banned or suspended from social media, including Gia Gunn, Tatiana and Jan, among others. All that and more coming up in today's video, so let's get started. Gia Gunn. Gia Gunn competed on Season 6 and All Stars 4 of Drag Race US. Throughout her various appearances on Drag Race, Gia showed that she is no stranger to drama and controversy. She's also had various dramas off the show too, such as her comments about DragCon, her saying that COVID-19 was a quote hoax, and she's also had beef with several other queens on social media. However, what may surprise you is that Gia was recently banned from TikTok due to some comments that she made in a few of her videos. At the beginning of August of this year, Gia posted a video on TikTok doing the viral trend where random queens pop up and you have to rank them. However, Gia did a bit of a twist on the trend and instead, Gia ranked these random queens based on, quote, how bad they'd get clocked if they were trans.
Not even sure who that is, but I'm sure he's getting spooked too. She's definitely getting clocked.
The video started off with Akasha from Season 1, and Gia said, quote, B, you are a bleep. You're not getting spooked one bit.
You are you're not getting spooked one bit.
Just to make it clear, the word I bleeped is the T word, which is a censored version of a slur that is often used to describe trans people. And this is likely the word that eventually led to Gia's account being banned. And although Gia is trans herself, many people criticised her use of the T word and said that it was highly offensive. Later in the same video, Gia said that Mayhem Miller, Crystal Method, Joey J, Victoria Porkchop Parker and Naysha Lopez, quote, would get clocked if they were trans, whereas Akasha, Bosco, Brooklyn Heights, Trinity the Tuck and Kahana Montrese would not get clocked. Gia also made another video where she said that she would say the first word that came to her mind for each of these 10 random queens.
Questionable. Asian.
I can't play the full clip, but this is what Gia said about each queen. Dax exclamation point from Season 8, quote, not sure. Jada Essence Hall from Season 12 and All Stars 7, quote, talented. Jade from Season 1, quote, trade. Manila Luzon from Season 3, All Stars 1 and All Stars 4, quote, sister. Vivian Panay from Season 5, quote, Asian. Kelly Mantle from Season 6, quote, trans. Shangela from Season 2, 3 and All Stars 3, quote, questionable. Evie Oddly from Season 11 and All Stars 7, quote, Big D. Jasmine Masters from season 7 and All Stars 4, quote, funny, and Blair St. Clair from season 10 and All Stars 5, quote, fishy. And then on the 3rd of August, people noticed that Gia's TikTok account had been banned. And although there was no official reason given, people assumed that it was because of Gia's use of the T word in one of her videos. Gia also got called out by some other Drag Race queens for her comments, including season 10 and All Stars 5 contestant Mayhem Miller, who Gia said in one of her videos would get, quote, clocked if she were trans.
You're definitely getting clocked, honey.
Mayhem posted on her Instagram and also did an Instagram live, and although Mayhem didn't mention Gia by name, it was obvious who she was talking about. Mayhem said that it was, quote, tacky and gross to rank people by whether they would be clockable as a trans person, especially in the current political climate. And Mayhem also said that she stays out of drama and she wasn't following Gia before, but this was brought to her attention and that's why she was responding to it. And it seems like Gia then addressed the drama and potentially referenced the comments Mayhem had made about her, and Gia said, trans women have to deal with getting clocked each and every single day by cis people, gays, and the list goes on. If you're truly grounded in who you are as a drag artist, the idea of getting clocked in drag shouldn't be anything but a key, unless there's underlying issues ... to be continued. And Gia's TikTok account is still banned. However, Gia made a backup TikTok account and posted a video saying,
there's no way that you guys thought you were going to get rid of me that easy.
And in the rest of the video, Gia said that she was, quote, grieving the loss of her old TikTok account and asked if anyone who works at TikTok can help her to get it back. But for now, Gia said that she's going to move on and continue using this new TikTok account. Gia also posted a few days later on the 10th of August saying that someone had tried to hack her backup Twitter account and said, protect yourself, people are insane. And since then, it doesn't look like Gia has addressed the drama any further, and her old TikTok account is still banned. So we'll have to see if there are any future developments about this. Jan competed on season 12 and All Stars 6 of Drag Race US. On the show, Jan was shown to be very high energy and didn't really have any drama with the rest of the cast, but Jan's most well-known moment was her face crack on season 12 when she didn't win the Madonna Rusical Challenge. And although Jan didn't have much beef with her other castmates on season 12, it may surprise you to learn that Jan apparently once got banned from TikTok for impersonating a politician. You may remember that back in January of 2023, there was some drama involving a politician by the name of George Santos, who is a Republican member of the House of Representatives. George Santos has been accused of various infractions over the years, including fraud and theft of public funds, and he has a very mixed record when it comes to LGBT+ rights. However, at the beginning of 2023, a story emerged in the media that two people, who were apparently old friends of George Santos, alleged that Santos had previously worked as a drag queen called Kitara in Brazil. And George Santos has repeatedly denied that this was him, but in other interviews he seemed to hint that it was true, and he even once admitted that he was a, quote, terrible liar. And his stories have had many inconsistencies over the years. And this story about George Santos previously being a drag queen went viral at the time. Well, it seems that many Drag Race fans said to Jan that she resembled George Santos in drag and that she was her, quote, doppelganger. So Jan then created a TikTok video of herself in a similar outfit to George Santos next to a photo of her. And the thumbnail said, quote, Jan Sport versus Jan 6th, and the caption read, George Jantos, Insurrect Jan, Republican. However, although the video collectively got around 500,000 views on TikTok and Instagram, not long after Jan posted the video, her TikTok account was suspended for adult activity. In an interview with Insider, Jan explained that she only took 5 minutes to do her makeup for the video and that, quote, we did it in one take, my hair was all a mess and I was like, this could not have gone more perfectly if I had really tried. Jan went on to say that she thinks people are, quote, out to get me and also silence our voices due to the increasingly hostile discourse that there is about drag and people accusing drag queens of, quote, grooming children. Jan also made the point that George Santos had supported Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' so-called Don't Say Gay bill that bans the teaching of sexual orientation and gender identity in the classroom. But Jan said, quote, "The fact that she can participate in that," referring to George Santos in drag, "and then weaponize against it, I think is very dangerous." Insider apparently contacted TikTok, who said that they would look into Jan's account ban, and Jan's TikTok account was later reinstated, and the video of her as George Santos is still live on her channel to this day. Tatiana competed on Season 2 and also All Stars 2 of Drag Race US. Tatiana has been involved in a few controversies over the years, such as her beef with Season 2 winner King Tyra, formerly known as Tyra Sanchez, as well as Tatiana's arrest in 2019 for disorderly conduct. However, other than that, Tatiana hasn't really been involved in many other major controversies. So it may surprise you to know that Tatiana's Twitter account was suspended back in 2018, and here's what happened. Back in October of 2018, singer Taylor Swift tweeted saying that she would only endorse a Democratic presidential nominee who supported LGBT+ equality. And then Tommy Lahren, who is a very conservative political commentator and TV presenter, then reacted to Taylor Swift's comments on Twitter and said, "Let's be clear, I'm not with Taylor and I'm not with Kanye. I'm not for celebrities that pop off of bleep they don't understand, period." But then Tatiana replied to Tommy and said, "But wait, you dumb effing B, wasn't Donald an effing reality star? Aren't you out here to become an effing celeb? Trash ass B." And it appears that Tatiana's tweet was deemed as violating Twitter's abusive behaviour rules, and as a result, Tatiana's Twitter account was temporarily suspended. Tatiana later posted on her Instagram saying, "Lol, I'm in Twitter jail. At Twitter, I didn't threaten or harass, just responded to a dumb ass tweet from a trash ass B, lol. See you in 12 hours, Twitter." And it appears that Tatiana's Twitter account was reinstated several hours later, and her account remains active to this day. And something similar also happened to Aja. Stay tuned for the full story. Aja competed on Season 9 and All Stars 3 of Drag Race US. On the show, Aja had a few well-known feuds with several other queens, including her self-described, quote, aggressive complimenting of Valentina during Untucked. However, in more recent years, Aja has become known for her comments on social media, including when she called out Season 15 contestant Anitra of nogging on Drag Race, which led to a lot of backlash. I did talk about this more in a previous video, and I'll put a link in the description. However, what you may not know is that Aja once got suspended from Twitter after she had a beef with a group of so-called TERFs. It happened back in August of 2018, and at the time, Aja identified as non-binary and used they-them pronouns. However, Aja later came out as trans in 2021. But at the time in 2018, Aja got into a bit of a spat online with a group of so-called TERFs, which stands for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminists. And apparently this group had said to Aja that being non-binary was not a real thing, and it seems that they also misgendered Aja and called her a troll. Aja then seemingly responded to this on Twitter and said, "Shut the F up, you effing TERF, calling me a misogynistic troll. You are a bitter-ass fake feminist. Real feminists support all women and all genders equality. Don't misgender me, you senseless cow." And it appears that this tweet violated Twitter's rules, and Aja's Twitter account was suspended. Aja then took to Facebook to explain what happened, and she said that although she got banned for calling the TERF a, quote, senseless cow, the 200 to 300 people that were, quote, devaluing Aja's non-binary identity did not get banned or punished in any way, which was unfair. And Aja went on to say that feminism can be practiced by anyone, and that, quote, a vagina does not make a woman and neither do breasts. However, it appears that Aja's Twitter was later reinstated and remains active to this day, so it appears that this was just a temporary suspension which was later reversed. Mistress Isabel Brooks and Selena S. Titties. Mistress Isabel Brooks competed on Season 15 of Drag Race US. Fans will probably remember that Mistress developed a bit of a reputation on season 15 for being fairly controversial, and she had feuds with several of her co-stars. However, it appears that fans falsely reported Mistress of bullying several times on social media, which led to Mistress's accounts getting temporarily banned. It all started when a preview of one of the episodes of season 15 came out, and the preview showed Mistress saying to Marsha that her outfit looked cheap after Marsha had said that she thought she was going to be in the top that week. People then started reporting Mistress's social media accounts for bullying, which ultimately led to Mistress's Instagram getting suspended. And this happened a total of 3 times, which is why Mistress ultimately tweeted saying, "When the 5-minute preview came out, I knew this would happen. You know what they say, 3 strikes and you're out. Hashtag 3 bans in 72 hours. Marsha then posted a video on Instagram where she defended Mistress and told fans that their behaviour was not acceptable and it wasn't okay for them to go after Mistress, as it was not only affecting Mistress but also the rest of the cast. Fellow season 15 contestant Selena Estitties also came to Mistress's defence on Twitter, and this led to Selena's account getting temporarily banned as well, but both of their accounts were later reinstated. However, it just shows that the fans often overreact, and it's never okay to send hate to the queens because it can really affect them negatively, both personally and professionally. So there you go, there were 6 Drag Race queens who were banned or suspended from social media. Did you know about any of these bans before? And which queen's social media do you most enjoy following? Let me know in the comments. If you'd like to get early access to my videos before they go on YouTube, as well as shoutouts in my videos, priority when submitting interview questions, and also access to my archived videos, you can join my Patreon for just a few dollars a month to unlock these incredible benefits. I'll put a link in the description. And I'd also like to say a big thank you to all of my Patreon members. Your support every month makes a massive difference to my channel and helps me keep making videos, so thank you all so much, I truly appreciate it. Please make sure you like, comment and share this video as it really helps support my channel. And of course, please make sure you hit the subscribe button to stay up to date about new uploads. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll join me again in future videos. Thank you, bye!